that kind of ethos back to crypto, not something that was, controlled by the hedge funds and controlled by big media. We want everybody and their mom to be able to anonymously and safely spend money as if it's cash, and crypto as if it's cash.
That's super interesting. I think that explanation nailed it on the head. And now when you stand back and look at the word ZKP, or zero knowledge proofs, it literally describes it in the name, right? Zero knowledge, but verifiable proof that I have something.
You gain zero knowledge about the topic, the product, but the answer is truthful.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. So you kind of started getting into ZERA, and the reason you built it, I think that's a really good prerequisite there. Maybe tell us why you started building ZERA based on the knowledge we just learned, and why it's so important and what it is. It seems like maybe it's a few things
ZERA,
too, right?
Yeah, ZERA really operates, the company itself operates as kind of a privacy playground for developers, is kind of how I phrase it, or a think lab. The core product, this ZERA Cash, this offline cash alternative that we're building, is really kind of the logical conclusion of my PhD thesis. Our project has been amazing community driven. Every single one of our community members is amazing, because I kid you not, this started as working on my PhD thesis, working out in my free time, thinking the same way that most people in the industry were thinking, right? That like, oh, privacy is something you got to build in your basement and surprise release it. Otherwise, government's going to come after you. People are going to come after you. You have to release it anonymously. And so like, I thought these were just going to be research papers that I was going to publish in journals over the next few years. And while I was working on it, literally while I was working on one of the math proofs for making the zero knowledge actually work offline without a double spend, I was sitting there trying to solve this problem. And I was listening to a hacker podcast called Darknet Diaries, and they were talking about Pump Fund. And I had my MetaMask wallet. And so I bridged $50 over from my MetaMask wallet that everyone knew who I was. That was a doxed wallet, all that stuff. And I threw $50 on Pump Fund. And the community picked up, hold on, that's that software engineer from MetaMask. What's he doing on Solana? What are you working on? What are you working on? And so I tweeted some drafts of my thesis, and everyone went, you have to do this. You just have to. And we hit the bonding curve in less than 4 hours. And then it started growing to the point where we hit $5, $10, $20 million in market cap. And I'm like, okay, I guess I have to quit my day job in this business. And the community has been behind me 200% from that point. Like, one of the biggest points I can point out, just on the phone call before this, talking to migrate.fund and the people who helped us do our migration, they said that they didn't think anyone by their best models would get over 80% participation in the migration. We got 95% participation. Wow. We got so much participation in my migration. I'm actually a little butthurt, because that means we don't get as much in return coins. In terms of like what our on-chain war chest will be to pull from. But no, it's amazing. And so we're going to make money from the fees, and our community has just blown every expectation of what the project could be out of the water, and being able to push for not just these products, but being able to push for a company where like every time we encounter a problem, right? Like if you're a company and you have an on-chain war chest, that's now public information. Well, how do we shield that if you're Charles Schwab or JP Morgan, right? Like I come from the traditional tech and business background where like, once you've made those money from fees or from selling your iPhone, you don't go out and publish your books. You get to make strategic decisions on how to invest that money. It's very cool and it's community funded, but if you're a big bank, you're not going to open up your books and put it free for everybody on blockchain. So building shielded pools, extending the technologies, and just every time we run into an issue, I'm able to add it to this big backlog that we have. We literally have a whole section in Notion called future R&D plans, of just every time we run into a problem that we think privacy can solve, it goes in there as another thing we can build later on and another thing we can work with. But right now, especially because of my history and my exposure to MetaMask and like good user development, our core product is the wallet, is the offline cash focus. So that as we build out this wallet, I want it to be seamless. I want you to hand it over to your grandma and she think it's her digital banking app and not even realize she's on crypto. Because those abstractions and those levels of good UI and UX design exist. And it's a matter of us pushing for them as industry standard, not just, like MetaMask has done an amazing job. I'll never say anything bad about the team because I love them. And the tech that they built, but it's still a browser extension. MetaMask is as good of an experience as you could ever possibly get, but it's a browser extension, and it will never be better than a browser extension. And that's where we want to come in and go, hey, we can still hook into these browser extensions in other contexts, directly on your desktop, directly on your mobile phone, and we can make that experience better without ever even screwing with your private keys or anything else. We can sign in just like you sign with your wallet on any regular page. You'll be able to sign into our dashboard, get a much better user experience, get a much better trading experience than anywhere else in the ecosystem, and be able to, in the early demos, take advantage of those offline transactions by submitting what you want for those offline notes, being able to turn them into QR codes or even file downloads if you're a crazy person who wants to like stick it on a USB and hand it to somebody. And so that will be our really early version and early demos. And then we're moving in with, there's a company that was bought by Stripe called Privy, and they have been really amazing SDK and exposure to work with. And they have a whole platform for us to get approved by Coinbase, Binance, MoonPay, so that we can directly onboard them directly into the app. So grandma can put in her credit card and not even realize that she's just bought crypto to do this anonymous exchange. The UI just abstracts that all away. and it's just a one click as if she was using Venmo or Zelle.
Wow, this is what we used to dream of, using the tech to kind of just abstract away the blockchain and just make things so easy for the user. I mean, how long in totality would you say you've been working on all of this so far?
This as ZERA as a concept, 6 months. As like what I've wanted to do as a privacy nerd, my whole career. Like I came out of high school like a hacker. Like I got in trouble because I wrote a virus that ended up not on the school computers, but on the school resource officer's cell phone. And I've always been this crazy hacker. I have a Linux tattoo. I've always been
commitment.
a crazy hacker. Yeah, I've always been a privacy focused nut job. I even used to run a Monero node back in the day. And so like I love privacy. I think it's deeply important. And then as I just became more mature, and this is where my crazy politics will come out, but as I became more mature and got involved in the industry and saw how it was like very tech bro focused, I realized that anonymity, being anonymous online while still being a good dev, putting out good code, meant that I could still make money as an openly gay engineer, or the women in the field or trans people in the field could come out, put out good code, get paid the same as their peers, and interact with the space without being judged. And I thought like privacy is the key to that. And we need to maintain that respect that we have for every other person in the space, even if they're just a random person on Twitter who tweets about something. You don't measure them on their profile. You measure them on the shit that comes out of their mouth, the shit that they, you know what I mean?
This was sort of Satoshi's vision, right? Essentially.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. I guess I want to kind of summarize what you just covered, because you covered a lot. So firstly, you decided to launch kind of on a whim. People said, we love this idea, Dax, like just launch it. You launch a token. You originally launched as money. Maybe why did you decide, obviously, to change from M0 and 3Y to ZERA now? Obviously, I like the name much better. Change is smart, but maybe some context.
Like I said, so going back to the initial launch is when I did that bridge from my original wallet for $50, it was in January. It was throwaway. It was not meant to be even attached to this. I didn't realize people wanted to do this. And so it was a pure meme token. And I was naming it after the box or the briefcase of Monopoly money that Luigi Mangione had left in the park after what he allegedly did. And so that was the whole thing. And there was a song out by Moonwalker called Monopoly Money as well at the same time that kind of inspired it. And I'm like, great, I got a soundtrack and I got a meme. And it has, social depth to it. And that's what I threw out there. And my thesis kind of got attached to it in that, like, you have to do it. You just have to do your thesis. You have to turn it into a real product. We want to use this from the community. And so that's what I did. And so turning it from, a meme which celebrates, Luigi Mangione to something official, something corporate, something faceable, investable, and meaningful was a huge thing. And that's what I got feedback constantly on is you need a migration, you need to change. There's 50 different people who want to come on board and want to try it, and they heard the idea, they love it. But these Coles, these KOLs, all these people want to get on board, but like it's too much of a meme name. You got to change it. And so I didn't come up with a name. The community did. The whale chat and a few other chats came together, and I'm like, I don't have an opinion on this. I have an opinion about engineering. I have an opinion about science. Whatever you guys want to call it, we'll do it. And I really loved ZERA. And a new era for zero knowledge was the tagline that they came up with. And so we took it, we ran with it, and we love it. I love it. It's become a really amazing thing. I might even get the ZERA tattoo, right
there we go. You might as well, dude, at this point. If you have that much, love for Linux, you got to have the same amount for ZERA. So I say you go and do it. What's your experience been with Solana coming from something like MetaMask, which is, an Ethereum-based wallet?
Oh, it's amazing. I think I can share this now, but 3 out of 5 engineers that I work directly with at MetaMask are now entirely on Solana or directly work as engineers of the Solana Foundation. So it is not just me. It is a huge component of the industry. I think a lot of us engineers, especially the senior and principal people, smart people even smarter than me, really jumped on Ethereum early, right? Because it was one of the only ones out there that had the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine. It had the ability to write and run contract code on-chain, decentralized, trustless, all the things we care about, right? But and no disrespect to Vitalik, he's nice. I bumped into him once in the many years I've been around. And notice, but so Ethereum is the least worst. It's the best implementation of probably the worst way to do it. It's the absolute best implementation of the worst way to do it. And so a lot of us, because it was the only option, really jumped on it. And I never even liked Solidity from the start. I did Solidity auditing contracts. I talked about ERC 720 when it came out. I was around for all of that. And I just never loved the way the code was written or it was run or how the compile times worked. And there were a lot of stopgaps. There was a Zinc project that is still being worked on to change the underlying programming language, right? Yule was the other, Yule, whatever it was, is the alternative to Solidity. And so we didn't really like it. And Rust had become more prevalent and more prominent. And I was using Rust, to write APIs and backends in my day-to-day job. In fact, when I was working at the AI company, it was a leap year, a leap second, and February 29th, so a leap day. And all of the functions that run the AI servers that collect all the data from users run on a clock. And so the entire system crashed because it was leap second, leap day, leap year. And so we're like, crap, how do we do this? And I found that I could write 5 lines of code in Rust, but export it to the JavaScript that we needed. And I could change one line so that instead of pointing to all the JavaScript time date functions that were super complicated, I could point it to my one 10 function file, 5 function file, and fix everything forever. And when that worked like that for me with Rust, that's when it clicked. And I was like, okay, Rust has some serious shit behind it. What is going on? And I fell in love with writing Rust, learning Rust, building some hacking tools in Rust. I have a really cool, that NPM attack that came out a few months ago or a few weeks ago. I don't know if you remember it.
With
there was
Ledger?
a supply chain attack. No, was it Ledger? No, it was the NPM one where it was inside the websites.
Not so familiar. Maybe give us a brief summary.
There was one, it was a few weeks ago. It was a big deal. It affected in-browser wallets.
I remember.
It was like 4 weeks
right,
ago. Yeah. 2 weeks before that, I'd actually written that exact supply chain attack and posted it as like a case study. Yeah. And so, like, I've always loved Rust. I thought it was a really good platform, and getting to learn it more was super exciting. And then to learn, Solana was built on Rust as a core technology that I already believed in was super powerful. And then you looked at all the advantages that Solana has, which is decentralized identity, all the things that Eric and I talked about when we go live, which is like technical things, DID, sovereignty, digital asset ownership. All that stuff is governed a lot by multiple contracts, which require fees, right, to go between each other. Which means that the fact that Solana has such cheap fees that the crazy, really complicated sounds good. The crazy complicated things that we want to do, like zero knowledge proofs, are way cheaper to do. And we even said that, Ethereum feels like when you want to do the powerful things, their experience is only for the rich people. And we don't want that. We want time and money for, everybody to be able to take part in this crypto, because that's what Eric and I really believe in. And Eric was my manager at MetaMask, and he has been an amazing supporter, team member, and friend, and someone to bounce off of. If we have the cash capital, I would love to hire him. I know he's on the job search right now, but he's got a family to support. So hiring him would be a top priority. In terms of team members, we have, I'm making the joke, in terms of full-time permanent team members, it's really me, Rico, and I'm hoping to bring on a woman whose name I cannot disclose because she hasn't left yet, but from Gemini. And she's amazing. So I guess I make the joke that we're all DEI hires, because Rico and I are both gay, and Shauna will be our first woman.
Dude, there you go, definitely.
We like to make that joke. We don't take ourselves super seriously, except for the science. The science and tech is where we thrive the most. But it's amazing. I really love working with Rico. We've worked together in the past on contracts, and he shares a lot of my close engineering opinions. So there's not a lot of arguments about going left or going right on this. We set the priority of this feature needs to get done, and we have an amazing designer who's been connected from some of our Coles and our founders for us, and become an amazing designer who helped us design this website, who we are able to just really clearly lay out what we need from them, and they're really able to deliver what we need. And the cool thing is because I've been around so long, even the tech we picked for the designers, what I asked the designers to build inside of, makes it that much easier and that much faster for us to build out these components, right? So huge shout out to Shadcn, SHADCN. He is an amazing designer, works at Vercel now, but he came out with an entire design system that's entirely downloadable, customizable, and we use that as the base for everything, so that we only have to write a button or a function once, and then we can reuse it everywhere. And that's the beauty of it, is like, once we get this design down, this wallet interface down, we don't have to rebuild it for the mobile app. We don't have to rebuild it for the desktop app. We can just change the code that needs to run on those devices to that correct code. But we can use all these same UI abstractions and build this unified economy and this unified design language, where once you learn how to use ZERA in a website, you'll already know how to use ZERA on your mobile phone. You'll already know how to use ZERA on your desktop. And that's
tell me about this ZERA ecosystem. I got this pulled up on the screen, the new era of digital cash. You give a couple different examples here of what you guys build. Maybe to like kind of put a bow tie on top of the ZERA conversation, what it is. Just tell us about the ecosystem, the different things you guys are focused on covering.
Yeah. It's definitely the offline transaction portion. The ecosystem will cover apps that enable the core protocol, which is just like how Ethereum or Solana is a protocol, but you've got Phantom, you've got Backpack, you've got Squads for multi-sig. Each one of these apps does a different thing on the underlying ecosystem or the underlying chain, right? We just want to enable offline transactions. That's, if you want to think about what we do, it's offline transactions, and building out products to service that is what the ecosystem is going to be about. So to start, like I said, building a better user experience for the wallet is step one, because if you can't use your wallet easily, clearly, obviously, how are we going to guide you through or make sure you're comfortable with as an end user turning your cash into an offline note that, just like your wallet, if you lose it, or just like a private key, if you lose it, it's gone. So we need to build user trust first in building quality products that have meaningful interactions before you're ever going to trust us with putting $1,000 that you could easily lose on a USB somewhere. You know what I mean?
Does this go beyond crypto,
so
right? Because this seems like innovation that's not only positive for crypto, but positive for the broader financial world. Maybe tell us about your thoughts there.
Yeah. So the cool thing about my thesis and the underlying math, at least, is it is blockchain agnostic. Agnostic meaning it doesn't care about where it runs. If you can write code on something called Turing completeness, it is a measure in computer science of how complex a computing system is. If a computing system is Turing complete, it can run pretty much any program. Even if that's cups and water, you can set up cups and water in such a way that it is Turing complete, but that'll take forever to run. So that being said, anything that is Turing complete can run our zero knowledge proofs, which means Ethereum can do it, layer 2 Bitcoin can do it. I don't know if Zcash supports it yet, but any layer 2 scaling solution will support it. But also Venmo can support it. MasterCard, Visa, American Express can support it. There's nothing stopping your local bank down the street from supporting the same protocol. And in the long run, over the 5, 10, 7 years, we have a 7-year plan of working with it's called a working group. The people who come up with like the tap to pay standards and the actual like frequency standards that occur when you hold your phone near a payment processor to get that thing to work. We want to work hand in hand with them to bring this technology directly to tap and pay, so that even when you're not using crypto, privacy by default is the obvious answer.
And it seems like you're making, okay, chill, go ahead.
And just one thing I wanted to actually kind of talk a little bit about. We see you're doing a lot of work on the regulatory front. So before I even get to that, Dom, did you want to stay on this for a second?
That was my next question. Clearly, he's making a push for this. He was in Texas doing all that stuff. Maybe I think our questions are probably the same.
Yeah, just give us a rundown of, this is reaching into the real world. Obviously, there's some regulatory hurdles or maybe some things that need clarified. So just kind of walk us through a little bit of the work that you're doing in Texas and how that'll benefit not only ZERA, but privacy protocols everywhere.
Yeah, so there's kind of two components to that. It's both the regulatory compliance and understanding where we fall as a classification, which is really hard because we don't technically exist yet, right? We're not a bank that has pre-existing conditions and like you can point at it and go, oh, that's a bank. I know what a bank is. Therefore, you fall under banking secrecy law and compliance and know your customer law and AML law and all these things that I'm throwing out. So we don't fit that. So we have to figure out what do we exist as, and that takes a lot of money and a lot of lawyers. That's the first one. 2, if we exist as something new, are there laws that are in place that might apply to us, laws that need to be created that apply to us, or systems in place to do with that? And then 3, in addition to that, what have other people done? And for our specific space in Texas, especially with the new stock exchange and looking at partnerships, we have some very exciting partnerships we're looking forward to, specifically within the Texas government and the Texas Stock Exchange specifically. We hope to be the transmitting layer for 1 or 2 Texas government-backed currencies, cryptocurrencies. And there are some really exciting projects who are under NDA who are working with the stock exchange to actually become just like how the US dollar is the dollar of the United States. It wasn't like that until about 1910 with the creation of the Federal Reserve. Before that, almost every state issued its own currency in its own way. And so returning to that, at least in the digital age, is something that we talked about a lot at TechScap. That is, if you just scroll back a little bit, that is actually a senator, and that is a representative. Those people were all members of the Texas government who were on stage talking about the benefits that they want to bring to Texas, which is another reason why we're building here, is we won't be taxed. They want to introduce an amendment to the Texas Constitution that will not tax securities and by extension will not tax cryptocurrency. And so they made that announcement at the conference, and staying ahead of and in line with both the lawyers that were at this conference and these policymakers like him himself to understand where they want to go with the currency is always talk to them and help influence them into the way we want to think that privacy is a right, that privacy is something we need to protect, and that those are the things that we're working towards. Is super important. So it's both sides of the coin. Is I need to work with lawyers, attorneys, lawmakers to find out where do we exist in this space as someone who needs to be compliant with law in order to operate a business, as well as if we don't exist yet or you don't have an opinion on us yet, how do we influence their policy and their decision making in the best way to help us succeed, help us make sure that privacy remains a core right for everybody.
How have those conversations been going?
Oh, amazing. We have cross-aisle support from Democrats and Republicans on our first set of legislation that I put out, the Texas Privacy First Act, which I published a few weeks ago. And I met with lawmakers in Austin, as well as lawyers, members of the legislature this past week in Dallas. And I've had nothing but positive for on that. In fact, I have a meeting later with the staff for one of the Democratic heads of finance and investments for the Texas, for the state of Texas. They run the legislative commission on passing and writing bills and governing investments, retirements, and savings throughout all of Texas. And so we're going to continue to see maybe ZERA can support, backing people's retirement accounts or investment accounts, stuff like that, and allowing all these companies which were on stage, like T. Rowe Price, JP Morgan, and these people who are doing like wrapped ETFs and systems like that, to make sure that they can keep all their assets private and maintain the privacy of their clients as well. So we want to be able to serve everybody. And if we can get in on that institutional level of working with like Charles Schwab or Bank of America and being able to privately protect all of their customers' data on chain, then we'll have a really strong argument and a lot of institutional investment in making sure that we can bring offline cash to everybody.
Love it. One thing you mentioned earlier that I want to kind of touch on is when you talk about migration, you said you got insane participation. I remember seeing Migrate.fund saying in their case studies, like 85% was the high end of what you could get. And so it's really cool to see that you said you got 95%, but that only left you with 5% of liquidity going back to the treasury. That being said, how are you guys making money at the moment? It seems like you're maybe pre-revenue right now. And did you like look into fee structures to where trading fees would generate you some sort of return, or is that what you did with the whole migration thing? Touch on that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of what the community may or may not think, this was entirely, and you'll hear this from me, as much as I value the community and I'm doing this to serve the community, I'll always make business decisions from an engineering or business perspective. And so I took a look at it. I took a look at fees, what we were doing historically and what we were missing out on through the launch platform, which no shame to launch platforms. I think they're wonderful. Pump Fund, Bonk, they're doing really cool things, but I do think they're absolutely missing the mark on creator monetization. And that was one of our big problems. And so I looked down, I took a look at it, and I decided for me and at least 3 other people, what do our historical fees look like without scaling, and what do our fees look like with scaling? And with that, I settled on a 1% fee on the pool would be ideal for being able to live comfortably and hire 2 or 3 other engineers to make sure that we can push this through to completion, regardless of what the market does, up, down, left, or right. As long as we have minimal movement and minimal trading volume, we'll be able to continue and weather pretty much any storm. And then so that's what we've moved to is with Migrate.fund. We love working with them. Like I said, just talked with Jake. We're moving from Migrate.fund. They put us on Radium because that's all they had available to start. And so once this lockout period ends, we are working directly with Meteora to put the whole pool on Meteora. So we collect those Solana fees directly and take that full 1% chunk. And yeah, that should be able to fund us, or at least fund me and fund the fight for privacy for a long time.
Love to hear that switch. Meteora is a big supporter of the show. Shout out Meteora. That being said, so you're doing 1% in, 1% out then. Is there any transaction fees or transfer fees?
No, we're not doing a token 2022 standard. That's the cool thing about my math is I did not move this to a token 2022. This is a conventional SPL token.
Okay, got you. And can you explain what that means?
It's been interesting. There were some issues with the token 2022 standard, and so not a lot of people have moved to it. And by not a lot of people moving to it, nobody's bothered to fix the issues with it. And so it hasn't been a popular answer. The token 2022 standard is a set of extensions and a newer version of the classic Solana token system that we've had for a while. But it enables things like overall fee transfers on individual transactions, being able to use, they actually do have a semi-zero knowledge proof system set up so that account balances are shielded. Not sender or recipient, you'll still see sender and recipient on the chain, but you won't actually see the balance amounts or the transaction amounts. And so that was kind of their first step into privacy, which is, again, another reason why I picked Solana. If the underlying chain is already trying to implement what I want to build, then that's a really good signal for working with, the Solana Foundation and with the underlying people who are already in the space, right? Because Solana Foundation is huge. They already have both industry and legislative contacts. They know how to jump through the hoops that we need to jump through as a protocol and as a company.
Love it. And as for revenue, are you guys pre-revenue right now? Okay,
yes.
Nice. How do you tie token growth to what you're building? Is there any value drive to the token at the moment, or are people speculating right now on future value that you guys are going to be able to drive to the token?
It's pretty speculative right now. I would say outside of the concrete things we've been able to do with the funds and, like my bag that I partially liquidate just to pay for things like going to conferences, there's been objective value to, what we've been doing, flying around, getting our name out there, name brand recognition, as well as the feedback, some of the open source that I put out, and just small tools like a basic V8 encoder. There should be a small VPN somewhere, but not just that, but the steps we've already taken to create a legislative framework and to build a business, do all the business filings, hire attorneys, especially to start answering and hammering out the legislative questions that, if we built this, if we didn't answer these questions first and we built this, we might have end up in jail. And so we want to make sure as we build this, we do it correctly, we do it safely, we do it ethically and fairly for everybody, making sure we're in compliance with, my moral standards of giving everyone privacy as well as the highest standards of compliance and privacy that we possibly can. And so, I would say you're right, the main chunk of this is definitely speculation driven until we get the first few demos out, because with the demos, the way we've built the tokenomics around this is the classic deflationary, everybody gets supply and demand thing, which is, you burn a little bit of the token in order to use the protocol or use the ecosystem, and therefore supply of token goes down, so demand goes up, and so price goes up as well. And so that will be our main set of tokenomics or modifiers. And we'll even talk with lawyers to see if maybe in the short term or in the betas we collect fees in our own token rather than a burn mechanism just to grow that that war chest. But again, like I said, I can't answer those questions until the lawyer answers those questions for me.
Gotcha.
So you're leaning towards the, hey, use our token to use our protocol, in which case naturally supply and demand should increase.
Yeah, and then it no longer speculative. It'll be very much more stable, locked to the token. You'll be able to do instantaneous, buy and burn right there in the contract, which is another thing I have to add to the to-do list. As I talk, I'm like writing down, okay, this is the other 5 things I have. Yeah.
Got it. That's awesome. And so really you're leaning on the because I see a lot of questions when demo in the chat. So I'm assuming like kind of you're leaning on the regulatory side of things as far as what you're working on with lawyers and things to kind of give you a timetable on that, and also kind of build out the top end of the funnel as far as who you can offer this to. If I'm getting okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I can tell you right now, I cannot offer it to Iran, North Korea, or Iran, North Korea,
China.
There's one other. No, I can't offer it in China, but there are some feature limitations. For example, if we're classified as a security, no Chinese national will ever be allowed to receive an airdrop.
Okay.
That kind of a thing. Well, they can, but they then have to register with the U.S. government. They're going to get one, essentially. And that defeats the whole purpose of privacy. So.
Got you. Yeah, no, makes sense.
Yeah.
What about, unless you had to finish that thought there, you can go ahead.
No, I was trying to think.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
So
Don't worry. Just relax. Nothing too crazy. But what does competition look like? Would you say you're competing with someone like Ledger or Trezor, or who's your competition?
I don't really see us that way with competition. I think we're working in conjunction with a lot of things, and they're not the places you would normally think of. I think of Elusive, which is now pivoted to Axum or Arcum. They had a shielded pool system that for our demo, I might just rip out their shielded pool system rather than a mixer and build off of that and put our zero knowledge proofs in part of their protocol, And so it's less about, competing and building on the shoulders of giants. I think there are other technologies that are existing in the space that maybe we're competing against, not because we realize we're competing, but because they have very poor form when it comes to building open source software. I know there's a couple projects out there that I think we could benefit from using their technology that we'd be happy to license or buy from them, but they're hell-bent on using the P word and patenting it and making it so that it's not accessible or usable for the whole industry. And I'm not okay with that. And so I think those are more, and we're more competing against attitudes than we are any specific company, because I think every company out there wants this kind of privacy solution, at least everyone that I've talked to. Even Quai. Quai gave me a bunch of extra Quai when I met them at the NABS conference this week. They're super nice. I love their engineering team. Gave me a genius idea for the first demo, right? Instead of doing just QR codes and downloadable files, I can encrypt the offline notes directly into like your keychain for your passkey. So if you have like a YubiKey or one of those things, like putting it in there, and he showed me how to do that process. And like, so even competitors like Quai has their own privacy like blockchain that they're trying to do, and they're building out. And it's very, very, very cool. And I love their tech. There's literally nothing stopping any other engineer that I've met from sitting down and helping me solve a problem. So I don't think I'm in a race to build this against anyone, especially when it comes to like my zero knowledge proof, my specific approach. I don't feel that I'm in a race or in a competition against anyone specific. And with that comes the fact that, like I said, I can sit down with pretty much any engineering team and give feedback on their product, and they can give me good ideas or help me solve problems on my end.
And
you guys
speaking of your conversation, kind of just your conversations with Trezor, you mentioned before this that you were just on a meeting with them. So what are those conversations? I know there's things you can't disclose, but what are those conversations looking like exactly?
Yeah, so the Trezor one's a little bit of a misnomer. It's a little different. It was more on our corporate side of we want to use Trezor products to protect our assets. I think all of our major whales and most of the people on the council are already using Trezor. So it was more corporate solutionism than it was, hey, product partnership. It was, hey, how do we get this to run and protect our things? But there are other hardware companies that we've talked to specifically to do that cold wallet integration. But I do think you're kind of right. Like Trezor might be the best platform to start with, especially because even their hardware is open source. Like before the meeting, I literally was reading through on GitHub. They have a PDF of their circuit design. Like you can read through everything with Trezor, which is very, very cool. Though their hardware may not support what we need to with like generating the QR code in terms of power on that device, which is why when it comes to like the offline cache, I thought it'd be really cool to do our own version of a cold wallet that still allows you to transfer without the internet, right? There's no internet on a cold wallet, but you can still send ZERA and any wrapped asset that you want between cold wallets. And so building out that cold wallet with a company called Milk5, or the Milk5 duo from is it Jupiter Labs, it's a Chinese or Japanese manufacturer. They're super nice. But with them, we've been working on, I ordered another 10, 20 of them, which are in shipping right now, to build out at least like a firmware level wallet that will run the zero knowledge proofs offline, and they have tech to build from. Plus, unlike Trezor, which requires you to go out and actually manufacture, even though they give you the plans, right, to manufacture a Trezor, you still have to go out and get someone to make that chipset for you. The cool thing about the Milk5 and Jupiter and the whole team is that you're able to buy this as if it's a Raspberry Pi. You're able to go off the shelf to a Best Buy or an electronics store and buy these parts yourself, to build it yourself at home, build it with your kids, you know what I mean, and make it into a weekend project. And that's where I want to end up with our open source community and how we support them.
Very nice.
So really, it's not that you have so much competition. It's actually more, partnership potential here. How do you work on? You're still working on, fleshing out the project here and the product itself. But when it does come to distribution, it comes time to implement this SDK and get your technology in the right people's hands. How do you plan on going about that distribution? Because you're already having those conversations clearly.
Yeah, so like I said, there's a difference between what you're asking for, distribution of the technology, and offering a product or service. So product or service falls under all the legislative stuff we're doing, right? All the hard stuff, like making a button that makes this all happen seamlessly, is a product and is a service, right? So we have to follow US law, we have to follow regulatory agencies, all that stuff, which is a pain, but we want to get there so that everyone has the right to do that. But the cool thing is about distribution is that falls under First Amendment protection and open source software, which means when we get to a point where we have this product and service up and running and we're confident in it, I am going to open source the tech, because by that point, we'll have already been ahead. We will be operating for a while. We'll have the go-to service. And in my opinion, I think we'll have done it the best way it can be done. And at that point, it's time to give away the sauce and show everybody how it's done, so that people in China, people in North Korea can fight their own government, can fight those kinds of forms of oppression and implement it themselves. So we won't be able to offer our product and service in that country, but we will give them, their developers, the tools they need to implement it on their own sites. Just like how the Solana Foundation releases the Solana SDK. So if you want to put it in, sign in with your wallet, the software that you're actually using to do that comes from the Solana Foundation. Every developer just imports it, puts it in the top corner of their page or wherever else they do it, plugs in the state so that they can manage the wallet, connect and disconnect, and do whatever custom logic they want with the contract and with that website, right? We want to do a similar thing where we're not offering a service, but we are offering the software for free, for licensing. And so that anyone in that open source ecosystem can contribute, make it better. And we can, again, like I said, the goal is to make privacy the default for the whole ecosystem.
Would you say that crypto is a fast-paced industry? It moves quickly. Would you say that this legislation and traditional, just the traditional ventures are much slower moving than crypto? And how has that affected, the rate that you're trying to go at, because you have to work so closely with this legislation?
Okay, so a great answer to this is that this has been solved, in that tech has always moved way effing faster than legislation ever will.
Yeah.
For example, the next legislative session, meaning the next time, without a special session, the next time Texas will be able to pass a law will be 2027, which is insane, right? 2 years to release a new product, what? Yeah.
What?
But this has been solved in that tech companies have been working with legislators for years and years now. So we can already use the tools of the trade. Like the tools and the behaviors for this have already been taught. And it's what I learned at the tech companies, right? And that's why, even though it's 2025, we don't have another legislative session until 2027, that I'm already meeting with legislators. I'm getting the first seeds of what we need in place, because it is a slow process. And just like building any product, I know that crypto moves fast and it feels fast, but I wouldn't say it's about the same pace or maybe a little faster than conventional tech, in that when we're talking about big tech or big conventional tech, not
Josh, what's up? And he's muted.
I'm muted. All right, we're good. Cool pre-show. Oh shit, I almost dropped some water on my floor. Cool pre-show with Dax there. I was off on that day, but yeah, good to watch.
Yep, ZERA's fascinating, man. Interesting stuff going on with privacy there. We got to get him back on the show for an update or demo soon.
Yeah, you want to pull the ZERA chart up, because I think we have a bunch
yeah.
of ZERA folks that were
In here?
watching. Yeah.
Are they? Yeah, I can pull the ZERA chart up, because man, that chart's looking good. I heard Uber just bought some, which I think is not Uber the company, but a trader, which is what I think is partially driving this current price action.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. 31.5 million.
Wow. When were they on MCG? When was Dax on?
I think it would have been right around down here, around 2015 to 20 range.
Yeah.
Because that was right after they migrated. They migrated again, which I have to keep up. There's been a lot going on with ZERA. I really not sure. But before this chart, right as they migrated to the new chart. So there's just yeah.
The date was 3 weeks ago. So roughly pin it as, I think it was a Friday, so 17th, maybe around the 17th of October. Where would that be on this chart?
Well, it's not on this chart because they migrated, I think from a radium pool
Hmm.
onto a new pool. That pool existed for like all of a month maybe, and they just migrated again to a Meteora pool. So
Oh, shout out
um,
Meteor. Nice.
shout out Meteora. Yeah, so I don't actually have I could pull up the other chart, but here, let's see. Let's see.
Just trying to see how good the numbers are, and
Might be this one.
put the old MCG pin on it.
Yeah, I think this would be it maybe. We had them on when?
I think the 17th of October, around there somewhere.
Okay, so around 15, 16 mil, yeah. During this candle. But nonetheless, dude, privacy is looking good. I
Yeah, it
see that
is.
you saw there's you posted a DCA from the MCG account for MOBY. Let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
Because the MetaDAO economy has just been thriving, right? Look at that. So 500K, so $1 million DCA into
Yeah, try zooming that
Meta.
in if you can.
I can zoom it in like this.
Yes.
Maybe.
All right. So it's vertical format, guys, but it's only on the app available.
Yeah, so this Ore's been another one. Avicii's been super hot. Umbra's been pumping. Loyal's been pumping, right? So just privacy is going right now. Here, I'll pull back up my
Yeah,
chart
the
here and I'll
two,
pull up some.
because I think it gets cut off there at the top, but there's a 500K DCA Meta. There's a 460K DCA. So it's the two big global DCAs happening right now are actually on Meta, and then down, yeah, Avicii there at a 200K. So about $1.2 million worth of liquidity going into the MetaDAO eco.
Yeah. Let me
And
actually
of course, use code MCG, and there's a link there where you can actually go download the MOBY app.
Yeah, speaking of, I will actually just tab over here to MOBY so we can actually see some of those DCAs live. So yeah, here's the meta chart. Starting to get a nice little pump. Yeah. Ranging though, let's see. Active DCAs. Yeah, look at that. Jeez Louise. So there's 500K, so about $1 million in buys. There's about 250K in sell DCAs, and then some smaller ones down here. So
yeah,
it equals out to about, call it $750,000 in DCA buy pressure over the next 3 days. So interesting there. MetaDAO's been hot. I put out a tweet actually, which I'd like to pull up real quick on that note, because MetaDAO's been super hot, and I think it's really working as a test case here. So you can see their entire eco is pumping, right? So you have MetaDAO up 3% in 24 hours. You have Umbra up 51% in 24 hours. Avicii's up 3%. But again, this is coming off a big pump when the market was terrible. So Avicii's, ripping. Loyal's doing well. OMFG is doing well. Everything in the MetaDAO ecosystem is doing well. And I just had this thought, I said something interesting is happening with the MetaDAO ecosystem. I'm starting to feel a cultural shift. The people are choosing ownership over memetics. I'm bullish on all projects / launch pads giving holders a real stake in underlying companies. I think we start these slow cooks more often. And that's the beauty about MetaDAO and why I'm really hopeful here is because it does feel like a cultural shift is happening. I want to hear your thoughts on this too, Josh, if you're feeling that too. But it's like people are, as Believe's kind of seen this downfall and as meme coins on Pump Fund have kind of faded out a little bit, it's really interesting that people are starting to lean into projects where you actually have real intrinsic value and ownership tied to it. And hence we're seeing the entire MetaDAO ecosystem pumping partially on that thesis there. So it's pretty interesting, which also gets me very bullish on things like SOAR. We saw the CPT launch yesterday, things like Street, where these holders don't have to integrate a token necessarily, but they have the intrinsic value tied to the company. I think it's fascinating. And I think I'm seeing that shift culturally to people heading in that direction.
Two kind of takes on this. So MetaDAO, I think, is more of a crypto native form of this, and you're spot on. I completely agree there. And then to me, SOAR feels like a good solution to the Web 2 kind of version of it. I think you need both, and I think both will win together. but
Yeah,
I
I do.
completely agree. I mean, what's the CPT like? Let's check CPT real quick.
Yeah, well, actually,
Oh
and I'll
yeah,
check CPT
yeah,
in a sec. On that note, though, I did put up a poll because I'm curious about this. And
yeah.
so I'll share this tab again. I put out this poll a second ago. I said, which existing launchpad is most likely to capture the bulk of the ICM market share? Explain why in the comments. And so we're seeing 18%. This is only 55 votes, and I just posted this, 20 minutes ago. So we're seeing Pump at 18%, Believe at 9, trailing right now. MetaDAO number 1 at 38, and then Soar right behind it at 34. Obviously, MetaDAO is super hot, so it's inclined to get the most votes right now. But I think it's an interesting thought experiment because you see Pump and Believe, the two that offer, at least at this point, really no intrinsic value and ties to their company, are actually trailing, despite Pump being extremely popular. Believe's down in the gutters when it comes to sentiment. But the two that are doing the best are MetaDAO and Soar, and both of those have that intrinsic tie of value to the token, which I think is interesting. So we got to wait for more votes on that, but go vote and leave your comments because I am really curious, and I'm going to go back
What
and
did
study
you
this.
vote? Did you? I guess you can't vote on your own poll, can you?
You can't. I don't know. I think I would have voted. I don't know. You know what? That's why I'm doing the poll because I don't know.
So
I'm
I
just
voted.
curious.
I voted Soar from the MCG account. Not an official endorsement of MCG, but just because I was logged into that one. But can you zoom in a little there,
Yeah,
Dom?
sorry. Yeah, let me do
Let's
that.
Soar, MetaDAO. That's like break even. I mean, that's close, pretty
Yeah,
much.
for 55 votes, I want
Yeah,
to. I mean, I can go into analytics. I maybe don't want to
yeah.
dox people, but let
No,
me.
no, no, no.
Let's see.
I don't think you can see who's voted one way or another.
No. Okay.
No. I'm gonna tweet that or retweet that from MCG so everyone can see it.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating conversation. 11 a.m. man, they got Raul Paul on. They got 8.6. That's awesome to see.
Yeah,
That's
bro. I
awesome.
honestly I was like seeing that Rao Pal thing. I was like, yeah, live streaming is catching live stream channels catching some dubs.
Good for them.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the topic of MetaDAO versus Soar, this is loyal right now. It's a privacy token, and I'm trying to get them on the show. I actually just opened up a conversation, but it's been doing really well. This is a MetaDAO project. Obviously, it's gotten some buzz here. Now it's 6.3 million market cap versus CPT. Again, another one with intrinsic value, but this is tied, in fact, to and let me make sure I get the correct CA. This is tied, in fact, to the SOAR launchpad, which has a debt structuring. Basically, they have to pay down the debt of this token. So again, similar like idea here when it comes to ownership. Again, this one just launched, so this one's doing well. When it comes to a standpoint of people holding, you can tell people are definitely holding this much more than maybe they would other tokens that just launched. And so this is a FDV of 23 mil. Real market cap's around 2 maybe. So interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I'm hopeful at the end of the day for ICM. I love this model. I think people do too. I'm seeing some very smart chads just talk about how you have that security. The downside risk, especially in a difficult market, is nullified a little bit. And then you have those plays where you can really size in confidently, right? I think before this, it would be hard to size into a project and be able to sleep at night because you don't know what's going to happen. The project
Yeah.
could run away. There's no, yeah.
The key thing for me from this that I took is what Tom wanted to collect or capture with this is one, the price discovery that happens with a bonding curve, which favors trenchers and traders and kind of the early people. So they get excited, they drive volume, and then the chart starts doing stuff, gets attention. The tweet from the company CPT has like 40,000 views on it, right? On a fairly brand new account with no prior really following. So clearly there's that excitement that gets that initial awareness out. But now any institutional investors that are looking at like, how do I get exposure to this specifically? Let's say they follow the name or the founder who's got like a $9.5 billion publicly traded exit basically. Like this is how they get exposure. This is it, right? So it's pretty wild to see those two dynamics of like that's how institutions get exposure, but also the retail traders get kind of that price discovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's we're at 12:30, so it's time to get this show on the road here. We got Lab. This is an interesting one. I looked into the project a bit before, and I'm interested to have this conversation. So it'll be a cool talk here, and we'll pull them up. This is the current
Nice
chart just to give you guys
chart.
some reference.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid chart. What are the levels there that you're seeing?
Yeah,
that
so this is a million market cap. I think they must have a billion supply because the price here is 0.0185. So I think, or maybe I'm tripping. Yeah, so I don't know. Market cap up here is a million, at least according to MOBY screener. And yeah, it's had a few pumps. I think liquidity, okay, 200K in liquidity pool, so decent liquidity. But yeah, no, the chart's looking nice. It's a slow cook. Look, this was around, holy cow, this is 440 days old. I wonder what caused the uptick here. A question for the team, I guess. But
give us
Happy to
the
cover that.
give us the gas.
sweet.
Hey everyone, how's it
Hey
going?
guys, welcome up.
Hey, how's it
Doing
going?
good, man. Excited to talk. We'll kick it off here. Maybe just getting your backgrounds real quick and what drew you to crypto and creating this project. So I guess maybe Cyber, you can start us off, and Lazy Soul will let you go after.
Cool.
Sure. Yeah. And I agree with that choice because leaving the best for last is definitely the way to go. I'll tell you what,
Humble king.
Lazy founded Epicentral Labs last year, and I'll let him go into that more, of course. But I recently joined the team in March, and I was asked to join because of my background in institutional banking. I can't really say which one it is, but it's one of the global leaders. And while I was working for them, I was working legal operations with master documentations for OTC and SFT agreement types. So I had the opportunity to see everything from ISDAs to MSFTAs to MRAs. And all in all, when Lazy first asked me to join the team, it was that experience that he was really looking to capitalize on. So that's a little bit about me. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, Lazy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thank you, Cyber, and thanks, Dom and Josh, for getting us on here. Very excited. I've heard about the show quite some, good amount of time, actually. It was actually brought to my attention by a couple of your viewers to come up here and speak.
Love
and so, yeah, you guys are really picking up the track. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
More and more people are listening to it, so it's great. So yeah, let me quickly cover what is Epicentral Labs. We've been cooking for a long time. This is something I definitely launched, well over a year ago at this point. And, there was no glamorous TGE or anything like that. We are a DAO at the end of the day. So we are community governed DAO, and we have the core team, which is myself and Cyber. And so we needed that token early on to get us going, right? Because everything operationally wise, treasury wise, we needed that from the beginning. So to kind of answer your question there, our supply is not at 1 billion. It's at 54.6 million.
Oh, wow.
Which is very little compared to some other projects. And we have been, we've been through many roller coasters. And the way that this started was, again, I worked also in the institutional finance field as well, mainly operations, analyst level roles. And one thing that I noticed was, I used to trade options quite some, a good amount of time outside of that. And when I started that role, I was no longer able to trade stocks as I wanted to. So because of that, they didn't care about crypto, at least the bank didn't. And so I'm like, well, why not? Why is there not an options trading platform on Solana? And so that's kind of how it all sparked. It was mainly to satisfy my own needs, but it's turning into something better, which is great. But I've been building this for a while. When Cyber joined, we've definitely started to accelerate a lot faster. It was me and a couple of other people that have come and gone, but we're still sticking through. So I don't know if that's my intro there. I guess
Good.
We've been at this for a minute, so very excited. We're right on that line. We have good stuff coming, Q4. So literally around the corner, including the DevNet trading platform, our upcoming staking platform. And honestly, everyone will finally be able to see the full circle of our ecosystem that we're kind of building here.
Sweet. Yeah, we're going to get into what you're building in the ecosystem. Maybe give us some background. Why the recent pump on the chart? Is there something you guys announced recently, or just getting attention?
We're just getting the attention. So the graph is a really good representation of our attention, really. So the more people have been seeing us, the more people have been noticing us. We're getting these big pumps. We had a big one in January of this year, which made us hit 1 cent. It trickled down, and we're still hardcore in the development stage. So we've spent no money on any marketing whatsoever. We've been purely word of mouth, and because of that, we've really built up a very quality community. There's no when bots all day. There's no when's this, when's that. We've had a lot of high quality individuals join our community, our DAO, more importantly, and we've just been there. So there's really not a really big reason for the pump other than the attention piece. So but we
Nice.
do have a lot of fun stuff coming for Q4. So maybe there's people anticipating some sort of other price action. We just had a collaboration with Walk Protocol, for example, and we just got another subsidy for the audit program through Arito Markets.
Well, and to add to that, I mean, I know we're going to dive into our product a little bit later into the show, but I think what we're offering is not really seen on Solana right now at all. I'd actually challenge and pay anyone $100 if they can show me otherwise. So just based on the transparency, our focus on decentralization, and ultimately our product has really brought people to us, a trusting team, versus being lost in the crowd with all these meme coins, or as we say, the trenches.
Yeah, dude, no, I love it, guys, and I'm glad you guys are getting some hopefully much deserved attention. Let's get into the product. What are you guys building? What's your focus here?
Dom, I have a quick question before we hop into the product. I actually want to ask about options because I have a long background in perpetuals trading on chain, basically going back to 2021. What is the use case for options versus other leverage formats like perps?
Sure. Yeah, I'll answer this one. This is a fun one to always answer because perps are so embedded in all of our brains now when it comes to DeFi that people forget that derivatives are more than just perps. Especially knowing that we've been in the TradFi space, both Cyber and I, we see how often options are being used, especially OTC trading. It's a lot of our exposure there. But options, think of it as a perp trade that's not linear, and you have time on your side. So if a trade doesn't necessarily go in your direction, doesn't mean you're fully out. You still have time on your side to make up for it. Think of it as a bell curve. The closer you are to the price you think it's going to hit, yes, the more volatile that option becomes. And the closer you get to the expiration date, that becomes more volatile as well. So the further out you choose an option, it's a little bit more expensive. But remember, each option represents 100 of the underlying. So it's kind of like a 100x trade, and you're paying a small premium for it up front as a buyer. Options are mainly used to work as a hedge against overexposed risk. That includes perp as well. And the one I like to really preach is it's a great hedge against impermanent loss. If you hit the present in the top right, you can hit that there to full screen it. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, just as a little slideshow we kind of made to guide us along. But yeah, options exist to hedge. They exist for risk management and for speculative traders as well. So that's kind of what we're trying to offer here. There's not really any project at all on Solana building this right now. There's a couple that you might come up to your mind, but none of them offer both buy side positions and sell side positions, and also allowing passive traders to provide liquidity for the market makers as well.
Yeah,
So,
can I do a follow-on question? So
Sure.
there used to be a large firm called QCP Capital, and they were providing like 90% of the liquidity to some of the options protocols on Arbitrum back in the day. And it was like a pretty niche spot of the market. How big is the market today for options when it relates to perps? Like, are we talking 5% of the perps volume? Like, what does that market opportunity look like?
if we're looking at just notional volume, I'd say 10x or more.
Okay, so it's 1/10 of the perps volume today. Is that?
Oh no, sorry, 10x the current perp volume, notional volume. I'd say right now, if you
Options are?
Yep, I'd say
in
so.
traditional markets, right?
On traditional markets, if that's what you're
Yeah.
focused on. But
Oh yeah,
here
on traditional markets, yeah, but I was more referring to
Oh,
like
okay,
on
yeah.
chain. Yeah.
No, on chain is less than 10 million. It's kind of
Wow, okay.
surprising. It's in the TradFi world, options, it's like $1 trillion per day market.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's massive. It's huge. I think it's even more than futures.
Yeah.
And futures
So
are number
why do
one
you
most
think
traded. Yeah.
why do you think that is? Because I've always tried to understand this as why that option mechanism or primitive hasn't come over to on-chain in the same way that it is in traditional markets.
It's really difficult. I'll tell you that much. It's really hard.
Okay, so it's more like how the smart contract infra kind of works.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
you look at some other protocols, a lot of them are not using your TradFi derivative formulas. Here we are. We're using the Black-Scholes model, which you may have heard of. It's a very popular derivatives formula, and it's used widely across the world in the derivatives market, especially options. So we're taking that, we're translating it basically into Rust, Anchor framework, and Solana compatible. And there's a lot of variables that go into that formula, and that's what we have on the screen here. You know, we've got the underlying asset price, we've got the underlying volatility of that asset, the strike price selected by the user, the expiration date for when that option expires, and then what is the risk-free rate for that option as well, right? What is the risk-free rate for Solana? Probably the liquid stake rate that we get. You know, that's probably the risk-free rate we're talking about here. But when it comes to other assets, all of those different variables are to be considered to give you the fair value of an option contract in the first place. So buyers get the best bang for their buck, and sellers get the most yield for what they're putting up front to sell to the market.
I understand now why options is a smaller component, because like perps, for instance, all you're looking for is a price oracle feed to price a derivative, where this has, 5 potential variables. So I got it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There's a lot of and time is the biggest thing that people forget about. A lot of people say they have options, but they don't consider the expiration, and it's more of a coin flip versus like, theta and delta and gamma and all of that kind of risk exposure and risk management variables that are all should be taken into consideration when making that trade. So yeah, a lot more smart money finance to say the least, but it's a much needed tool, and it will solve a lot of this like impermanent loss exposure people get in liquidity providing, and a lot more unique strategies. So especially multi-leg spreads.
This is really fascinating. Before we get too deep into it, can you tell us about the team a little bit? Obviously, we have you two. Is there more people working on this in the back end? I'm trying to gauge the capabilities
I'll let Cyber
here.
take this one.
Yeah. So we're the 2 core team members. We're doing our part within our community to bring this to reality. I do want to shout out our community manager, Busy. He has been completely influential in our reach and how we market ourselves on X Spaces and Twitter in general, or X, formerly Twitter. Shout out to him. He's the one that reached out to you guys and made this all come together. So what you're seeing here in front of you is what you get when it comes to Epicentral Labs core team.
Sweet, thanks. Now, yeah, we can keep going with this this slideshow then. Anything else on this piece you want to cover?
So yeah, really quick, I do want to quickly cover that it's non-custodial. That's the best part. So like I said, a lot of other protocols that exist right now, especially even like on Ethereum. I mean, let's just use one example. Coinbase just bought Deribit for like $2.3 billion. That's a centralized exchange. There's other protocols on Ethereum, which is very institution heavy, that are custodial. Unfortunately, they are. Even though they're DEXs, they're still custodial. They play the house. They are the house. You play against the house. Anything else that's ever existed on Solana that no longer exists, there's a couple out there I could list, but again, I don't want to like drop names. They're the house or the team are the ones that set the price. They're the ones that set that expiration. Here, it's fully non-custodial. Buyers and sellers get to decide what they want to do. So if you want to buy a call option on Solana thinking it's going to hit 300 by the end of December, you can do that. But if there's someone else that's making that trade willing to sell it to you, it meets you there, and there's no need to figure out what price is what, because we have that formula already auto calculating it for you. You're basically getting the most fair value of that option. Asymmetric risk reward. What does that really mean? So nothing is linear, right? It's really dependent on that price action, the volatility and whatnot. If you notice when like right now, Solana's volatility is really, really high. The market's been going down. What do you think that does to the option price? Options appreciate in value because the premium increases due to volatility. It's a very important component. So as an option seller, I may want to sell options at this time, and buyers may want to speculate more and make more on their trade through these volatile times. which ultimately leaves it as a hedge for speculation and permanent losses we talked about, and can really reach out to multiple types of payouts, so to speak. So just want to touch on that.
So you obviously you're going to say yes to this, but you think options are a more valuable asset to trade than perps? Would you rather trade options over perps, and should everyone trade options over perps if they had the chance?
I mean, I'll take this one. Absolutely. Something that options brings that perps doesn't is spread strategies. And again, I hate to put the chariot before the horse, because we'll go through our product and you'll be able to see it. But because of the nature of DeFi, we can actually fractionalize our options. We don't have to make one contract equal 100 of the underlying share. You can do half and half. And with that, unlike perps, you can make a call with half the amount of whatever money you have. And then you can also make a put and essentially set up a range so that as long as you're within the range, you're capitalizing. And I think that's a huge strategic advantage over perps, because perps, there's a couple elements that you're aware of, like the liquidation price, and how much you put in, and perhaps how much you're using as leverage. But after that, you're kind of on a wild ride to see what happens. And it's very dangerous to try to time the market, where here you have more of a hands-on approach. You're using the instruments in front of you, the gauges like the Greeks, and it kind of gives you a better chance, I would say, to put it simply.
This is super interesting because the perps market on Solana is growing so fast, and it almost seems to be taking over Solana. Just like people used to trade spot, and now it's really all perps. So if someone can crack this code for the options, there's just such a massive market to be tapped into there. Do you guys have the TAM on that, or?
We don't necessarily have any specific data right now to work with, just because nobody's been doing this. Nobody is doing this. And right now I could tell you, I think if you go a couple slides forward, we just looked at DeFi Llama, for example. This is a problem. Yeah. So just kind of talking about some of the issues with options being, complex. A lot of the UIs are difficult. Options seem complicated, and that's a lot of reason why a lot of people in crypto are instantly turned away by it, because it is complicated. Whereas perps are very simple. You got the Oracle, you got the leverage. As long as you're not getting liquidated and you're on a good trade, you're doing good. In options, you have to consider time, and time is one of the most important things when it comes to trading. People always try to time the market, as Cyber said. With options, you actually have the opportunity to have time work in your favor. I could buy an option expiring today, thinking it's going to be, at 200, or what's it trading at now? I don't know, 160, let's just say, very short, something like that. I can capitalize on that short swing, and vice versa, down or up, or even in between, as Cyber said, offering the spread opportunities. Think of it as like a CLMM, right? A concentrated liquidity pool. You can do that with options, not just in liquidity pools. You can do that through an actual trade as well. So, but the actual market itself is severely overlooked and underappreciated, I'd say.
Sure. And if we could actually circle back to the previous question on whether
Sure.
options are better than perp trading, and Lazy, feel free to take it away here.
I just get so excited. My fault.
No,
Great. This is
absolutely.
great.
I mean, I wanted to add the element of a premium. When you're a buyer, you can experience that same, let's use 100x to keep it round. You can still trade 100 of the underlying value without putting forth such a large position or size, because all you really need to pay for is the premium. So you're already going into the trade knowing that, the total amount you can lose, that is still less than the total amount needed to experience the 100x. Lazy, if you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, basically provide less upfront without the fear of liquidation quickly. Because if the moment you provide 100x and you only put $200 up front, if it goes against you, you're screwed, right? With options, it's like a $200 contract or a $2 per token contract.
Yeah, if you're trading 100x perps, you need therapy, to be honest.
Right. And here you can have that kind of exposure and use that to your leverage, literally, to capitalize on any gains without actually worrying about being liquidated like that. Because if it goes against you, sure, but it hasn't expired yet. You still got time. So, and that's for the more speculative traders out there. But for more risk management, this is a great hedge against your overexposed positions, whether it be perps or spot.
Right, and that's just talking about the buyer side. Even when we compare it back to perps, it's always you versus the house. So what we're providing, and this was kind of going back to that competitive advantage, is for the first time, excuse me, there's going to be options trading on Solana where you can be the seller and experience yield in terms of time with that theta. So lazy, I mean, by all means.
Yeah. The contracts, since it goes against time, these contracts, they can lose value if they're not hitting that price. So as a seller, as an option seller or a short seller, market maker, whatever you want to call them, where do you think that money goes? It has to go to the person that was being the insurance seller at this case, right? So the seller. And so that theta starts to accumulate, providing essentially yield to that person that's selling that option. Ultimately, if I don't think that Solana is going to hit $200 strike or $200 per SOL by the end of the week, I can sell that call option to a buyer that's speculating it, whoever wants to buy it. The longer that they are not at that value, I'm collecting premium, or I'm collecting theta, time decay, on that contract, which is a pretty much fixed yield for me. So, and that's it. And then when it expires worthless, I keep the premium that the buyer paid, and I move on with my day and open another position. So if we go to the next slide, I think that's where we are focusing on. That's the solutions kind of. There it is, the pricing model, the funny numbers.
There we go. Just keep that pulled up. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure, we can cover that as well. I think I want to focus on one thing here, and that is the fractionalized options portion here. Even in TradFi, this does not exist. And because crypto has been expanding to where it is, you can now trade a fraction of a contract itself. So imagine let's relate this back to perps. So Josh, let's say you're trading a 100x trade, let's just say, and you put up, I don't know, 10,000 as collateral, whatever you want to do. Big trade, money,
Wow.
funny numbers there.
I'm
okay?
degenerate.
Full degen mode. Okay. Let's say you're doing that, and imagine now I can take a piece of what you just put up front, and I only want to trade 1% of that, but have the same level of 100x exposure for 1% of the collateral, so to speak, which would be in this case 1,000, right? Or sorry, if it's 1%, it'd be only $100.
$100, yeah.
So it's like that's essentially what options are. You're trading coupons on an asset that gives you the same level of exposure as that perp trade. And the most I can lose is $100, yet I can still capitalize on that 100x perp trade, essentially.
So you shouldn't think of your collaterals in terms of like collateral. You should think of it as like I'm taking $100 clips, basically, I guess.
Pretty much, you're getting that. You're taking the premium. You're willing to pay that premium. It's like buying an insurance policy. And if you hit that strike, that means you bet correct that you got hit by a car, and your insurance is going to pay out, right? But then the option sellers are the insurance providers selling the insurance at the premium. And the best part about all of this is we made it with this formula here that you're looking at for call and put options. It's pre-calculating already the most fair value. So there's no need to guess what is it worth, what do I need to buy it for, what do I need to sell it for. It's not a limit order styled position. It's like an index at that point.
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice to make things easier for people. And that's why we want to make that familiar and simple UX or UI with those.
Can you go to the next slide there, Dom? Slide 6, I believe it is. Actually, maybe 2 forward. This is your interface. Are you guys live with this product today, or is this, these are kind of like?
I would say DevNet goes live in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'd say, yeah.
I got to circle back to the competition aspect, because this is so interesting, but you say there's no one else trying to do this right now. Like, why is that? You said it's complex, but clearly someone sees the gap in the market here other than you guys.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cyber.
Sure. And to add to that, I think a couple slides back, I said it was the problem slide, and it included things like barrier of entry and the need for high collateral right there. What is that? The 4th bullet point. So high collateral requirements. And I think this was one of the major reasons why competitors haven't emerged. So if we go back to the product page, you'll see a reference for something called OMLP. And I think this is really what greases the whole machine. Maybe the slide.
It's
after?
the fifth slide.
Here it
Yeah.
This slide. So anyway, the OMLP, and to answer your question, imagine you want to be a seller, but you only have $100 worth of collateral.
Fifth slide, sorry.
Like perp trading, you can actually borrow to increase your size and then earn more theta as you go against whatever the buyer is doing. So we're bridging the gap between TradFi and DeFi, where if you can't be a large market maker, we're bringing the power to retail users to be a large market maker. You have that capability now. And a lot of it has to do with, we call them SAPs, single asset pools. This is what you'll be trading, like Solana, et cetera. As we expand, we'll be adding to it. But there's two ways that this works. You could either use our in-house pool and it'll default to that, where you can borrow and, again, make up your size. Or we integrate you directly to third-party providers. So I don't know if we want to, we're still debuting our product. I don't know if we're going to use them, or I should say their name right now. Stay tuned for that. They are there. I just don't know if I should say it. But the point is the access to liquidity, because of how Solana is built and with all these integration capabilities, is present. And I think that is, a giant golden nugget that we found under an overturned rock. So, does that answer your question as far as why others haven't joined?
Yeah, no, definitely. And side note, are you guys good traders yourself? Are you guys trading options pretty often, or are you focused on the platform and not doing much trading?
I will answer that and say I have not had the time to trade as much as I'd love to. I would trade TradFi options a lot. I kind of found a weird success with it. I always, let's all be real. We've all seen those ads, those courses, those pitches of people selling things, like, oh, become a trader, you're so good. I've gone through every single basically pitch imaginable, and I've always gotten burned, and I realized all of this is a sham. I need to learn this on my own. I learned the hard way. I lost thousands of dollars trying to, but then eventually I kind of figured it out. And I like to trade spreads. I'm a big fan of spreads. So to me, it's really important on the platform, like you see on that screenshot, is to create I can open multiple positions and I can see my P&L there, where as long as the price goes outside of these two price points, the two strike points, I'm going to be in profit by the end of the expiration date. And
and these strike points are these yellow dashed lines,
correct,
right? On either side.
Those are the break even. Yeah.
So they call this a butterfly option or something, where it's like, as you're kind of get it close together, and then outside of those areas, you make money.
We could call it like a credit spread in a way.
Okay.
So it's a long credit spread, and so you're basically going to receive the premium you're going to be positive on the trade as long as it goes outside of those two price points. And you can do the inverse. You could say, and that's where I did most of my trading through TradFi, was around earnings. The premiums are high, everyone's trading, it's super volatile. And this is not financial advice, by the way, hard disclaimer. Okay. And then I would try to make sure that as long as after earnings go live, as long as I'm between these two price points, the IV crush, the implied volatility crush, I collect my premium on that. And so you can do the same kind of strategies here. Imagine if you were able to jeopardize on the, capitalize on the Jupiter airdrops back in January. Yeah. There were so many different ways. Like, how are they going to consider the allocations? How who's actually going to be eligible? Things like that. Options are very, very good tool for fundamental news and not just technical news.
Yeah. So I want to get through a few things here. So who is providing? So if I win these trades, who's providing the capital? Who's the counterparty? Is it a liquidity pool, or is it
order
the
book
option
market
seller?
maker?
The option seller, the market maker.
The option seller. So the market maker is my counterparty. I'm assuming they're like, a good credited market maker or something like that, or
no.
like
so anyone can be a market maker.
Okay.
Yep. And that's what we're solving here is that liquidity issue of, like Cyber was saying, to become a market maker, we have to somehow enforce that the position is cash covered somehow, right? Because there's no such thing as margin calls on crypto. They can't call my mom up and say, yeah, your son
Yeah,
needs
hey,
to go
sell
to
your
this
house.
Yeah, yeah, you're getting margin called. No, we can't do that here.
Okay.
So in order to make sure it's possible, we have to have the capital for it. So market makers borrow capital from liquidity pools, whether it be an in-house or external third party. They provide a portion of it, so they can borrow up to 10x, let's say. And so now they're providing that if their trade goes bad, they lose their collateral. The lenders never get exposed to the actual trade. It's just there for as a check. And then the buyer only maximizes their gains up to that collateral amount that was provided. Now, if there's a lot of market makers and sellers, right, then it varies. It's kind of like a first one gets liquidated, the other one gets liquidated, and so forth. And that's what allows for the fractional piece to come in, because maybe one full contract is fully collateralized, but maybe there's another one that's providing more collateral. The option seller is providing more collateral for half of a contract. So the buyer gains as much as they can with one contract, then the half of it gets closed, the other half is still an open trade, and it goes forward. So yeah.
So
Got it. And so
before we,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I just want to do one last input, because I want to make sure we use our time appropriately
Totally.
here. There's a lot more on the next slide, and before we go there, just to go back to that question of why our competition hasn't really been emerging within the space, I think it has to do with your point earlier, in that options can be or seemingly be very complex. And I think I want to commend Lazy here, because this P&L chart, he absolutely killed it. And to be able to visualize that you can trade in ranges, whether towards, within a range or outside of a range, like you're seeing here, I think that really makes it simple and accessible for retail users.
Like first glance, and I have a lot of experience in derivative trading on chain. This is one of the best kind of representations of option like probabilities I've ever seen.
Oh, but thanks. Appreciate that. And it's live, it's interactive. So
well, and we were just discussing seller side and those who are providing the liquidity to sell the options. Why don't we move on to the next slide so you can see what that kind of looks like? So Lazy, go ahead, man. This is all you.
Sure. So as a market maker, we made a really quick wizard. So like you can make an option on the fly. If let's say a strike price has never been created before, this really allows for price discovery. So here in this example, in this specific screenshot, you can see that the asset price is 160. I set the strike price for 160. It's going to expire November 21st. I'm selling a call option, and I want to sell one and a quarter of a contract. It doesn't have to be one anymore or two anymore. It can be any decimal range. And you can see the option premium is already calculated for. So my estimated max profit on that alone is already calculated there at the bottom. And as you move on, you provide your collateral, you borrow how much you want to borrow. You can do 5x, 3x, 4x, what doesn't matter. But it works in your favor. And I didn't provide every screenshot. I figured it'd be kind of redundant to go through. But DevNet's coming soon, so everybody will be able to play with it soon, which I'm really excited about.
And a little alpha, since you've had us here on the show, you get to see it as well. If you look up in that top right corner, I think this might be one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
So you're seeing our pro mode. There's a lot of the degen mode, man. If you just want to start it off, or you want to keep it simple, you're watching football, but you still want to options trade, because DeFi's allowed that for us now. Flip it over to degen mode, and it gets very simple on strike price, expiration date, and so on. So it can be as technical as you want it to be. We're essentially bringing options to options.
Are these options only for crypto, or will you be able to trade indexes, equities?
Any SPL token on chain could be possible.
Any SPL token, I will say, when it comes to anything, like I know they're tokenizing stocks and all these things, there is we're based out of the US, and there is an aspect with laws, rules, and regulations. So we don't want to promise anything and say that you're going to be able to trade X Tesla before we get all our ducks in a row and ensure that we can do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
So,
I know we got some more slides here, but I got to go over this model real quick. You guys chose a DAO model here. So maybe why did you choose a DAO model? How do you guys make revenue? Where's the revenue going? Just give me the full breakdown of that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm going to concisely explain it because I know we're close on time. We're a DAO. We are going to make it to where the DAO is receiving 70% of any protocol revenue. Creating a position, opening a position, and any sort of liquidity, interest spreads, whatever we want to do there. And we're going to make it DAO parameter mutable, I guess. The DAO can decide to change these variables if they'd like to. A great example is Adrena. Adrena have a perp trading platform, and they work as a DAO as well. And a lot of those parameters can be voted on, and they can be changed by people, because at the end of the day, how do you make the best possible product? It's by having the best kind of feedback imaginable on that product from your most dedicated users, from your most invested users, and stakeholders. So everyone should have a voice, and that's why we went with that model. And secondly, we want to make sure that we're not just the ones collecting all the value. We can't be a decentralized platform if we're not decentralized.
Right.
And I really lean heavily into that. I'm a big DAO advocate. And we have a really nice and amazing framework that both Cyber and I finally finished, legal framework that is going to make us compliant with
37
US
pages.
37 pages
Wow.
to ensure that
37.
we are compliant with US regulations, authorities, CFTC, SEC, AML, geofencing, you name it. Literally, it goes crazy. And I'm really excited to make that open and available for everyone to read, to know what everyone's token holders, what rights they have, what authority they have, what does the core team do, what sort of authority do they have, and what pieces are centralized versus what's not. And so that's what's really going to blow us out of the water here with everything that's going on regarding MetaDAO, ownership coins, this, and that. This is a really
Right.
big piece of conversation too.
And to add to that, because that was one of the reasons why I joined the team. You know, not only did I get interviewed, but I actually interviewed back in that moment. And Lazy's approach to again bringing back power and control to the retail user really shows in the DAO setup. I mean, we you know, in our Article 3 management section within our operating agreement, which will be publicized, everything you do is publicized. You can see how much, if you look and dig deep enough and come join the community, you can see what the community manager is getting paid per week. You know, everything is open. That's not proprietary information with the code. But all in all, it's bringing back the power and understanding to the user. And when it comes to DAOs, again, going back to the management article, we have a clause in there, deference to our the realms mechanism. We operate out of realms protocol. And it's essentially a commitment from the core team and the members to take what's on chain through the proposals as close to law as possible. I mean, as long as it's not breaking the law, it doesn't supersede the law, we become compelled. So all in all, the DAO, I think, like Lazy said, makes a strong community. It gives power to those who maybe not be able to experience how things function, especially like in TradFi. You know, you can't tell Fidelity how to operate. Here, you're going to be able to do that. And it becomes an interesting social experiment and really brings out, I think, the best in people. They're going to try to be attached to something that even if they didn't program, they knew drove Solana and the DeFi space to the next level and had a part in that.
I don't even know if this is feasible, but have you guys talked to Profit or considered a raise of some sort to just give you some more capital and bootstrap? Or
it is, you know, Profit, mad props to him. We all have different, you know, all countries are sovereign and they have their own laws. We've looked into their operating agreement. Again, shout out to how they're doing it, but they're based out of the Marshall Islands, and we are not. We are actually registered in the state of Wyoming. That falls under the umbrella of the federal government for anything that's not specified. And there's a lot of things that technically, and again, I want to, you know, shout out to them, we cannot align ourselves with on a legal level.
well,
So
I'm glad you
it's-
guess looked into it though. That's
It's a
shows
big
your
deal
dedication.
because it's a big deal because we cannot say ownership. We cannot basically say that we're a security. Otherwise,
Well,
none
we're
of this
not-
will work.
it's beyond not saying it. We are
We're
not.
not most
We
of
are
all,
not a
but
security.
the way that ICOs are viewed in the eye of the federal government can be treated as security, and it just as a red flag. And we want to mitigate that risk, hedge against that risk. We don't want that risk. So
Sure.
you know, call option on Epicentral all day. So Labs is a
And that's-
token. Stake it. Vote with it. Very excited with it. I'd like to answer some of your guys' questions if you have any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to close a loop real quick too. You guys have a 70-30 profit split. It looks like 70% is going to go to DAOs. I'm assuming that's pro rata based on how much they're holding. And maybe talk about the demand for this. You're showing us the TAM, the size of some of these markets here. How do you guys go and push this to everyone? How do you make this as popular as perps are on Solana?
It's going to be the easiest thing to use.
Yeah.
That's what it is. My UX and UI is the most important thing, and that is the biggest hurdle for a lot of things. Like Robinhood is an amazing platform. They have an amazing UI, and there's a reason why everyone goes degen mode on Robinhood for trading
Yes.
options.
And I
So
want to finish this off because lazy, we know how this goes, man. Last point I want to make. I know you guys have somebody else right after this. How are we going to do it? We don't pay for marketing. We do everything by word of mouth. We're already collaborating with people and are actively involved within the space. We're collaborating with Kibana Exchange. Go over there, exchange with them. We're collaborating with Watt Protocol. We just integrated with them on Monday so that you can use the power of arbitrage bots.
Nice.
I just want to say thank you guys for having us. We would love nothing else but to come back again to answer more
Sure.
because what we're building here is it's very big and it takes
a lot of depth.
time.
It's a lot of depth, to be
Lot of
honest with you.
But yeah,
it
thank you
sounds
guys
like
so much.
What about trading terminals, guys? We know trading terminals have a bunch of perp platforms integrated into them. Have you guys been reaching out to terminals? Axiom, Photon.
We will be integratable ready, but in Q1 likely or early Q2 of 2026 because of, again, we have to ensure that it's audited, all this stuff. So it takes time, but
Yeah.
SDK, open source SDK will be very, very possible and it will be happening. I'm going to make it happen. I want people to integrate.
Sweet. We got to bounce, guys. Closing thoughts, anything you want to leave the community with, where can they find you, etc. Plugs, tags, everything.
Yeah. Epicentral Labs. And check out our DAO, join our Discord. We're always happy to answer more questions. And we've got a staking platform coming forward very soon. So, and that will tie in that flywheel we were talking about as to how that works. So very exciting news there. Q4 DevNet in 2 weeks. Stay tuned, guys. Thank
Boom.
you.
Good
Thanks,
luck.
guys. Great
Good
conversation.
luck.
Let's
All right.
loop you guys. We have the TG chat open, so we'll stay in contact and get you guys on when the platform is live and maybe see some trading live.
Some demos, absolutely.
Options
I got it.
Dom. I love it.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys.
All right,
Peace.
take care, guys. Bye.
See ya.
See you later.
Nice to meet you. Dude, options are tough nut to crack. That's not happened on chain for a reason. They're very complex, and even the market making side of it, like you want to make sure you have a thick book of options at different strike prices people can
Mhm.
trade. So I know you could manually put one in, but they need to find a way to say when you show up to the platform, you can buy at all the
Gotta
strike
pepper it.
prices you want. Yeah. So if they can do that and figure that out, people will probably trade it for sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like you said, it's so difficult. If they can crack it though, like we see how popular perps are, and the continued growth of perps on an exponential curve shows that there's interest in these different.
Oh
models
yeah,
of
I mean
trading.
the token at $1 million, like if they get that and figure that out, that's worth a lot more. Like Deribit, like they said, was 2 billion as a centralized exchange that got acquired. I used to know some people from there, and the guys in Miami actually, that the Inter Miami jerseys, they sponsored them just before Messi went there. XBTO or something like that.
No
They
clue.
were the market makers on Deribit. So and I used to have a relationship with them.
I think the play here is this is what I'll probably be doing, right? I will be watching labs. I'll put Epicentral on a watch list and just see how development goes. See the
Yeah.
platform when it comes out. See if they can start attracting meaningful users. If they can do that, they've gone 0 to 1, and I think the hard part's behind them. So
Yeah.
cool.
Let's
project.
pull MOBY up. We got they're
And
not
Josh,
on.
I'll let you take screen for MOBY as well. I know they sent some stuff in TG. I still don't know how to get Telegram like stuff onto the screen share. So
Yeah, I'll screen share that. Do you want to pull up their chart?
yeah, dude, let me do it. I think they were basically at a pretty solid floor last I checked. Oh
Yeah, they announced
oh, dude. Well, something else I have to pull up
buyback.
to. Oh yeah, they're up 20. Ooh, 25%.
Ooh, I like
Yeah,
that
good day.
reaction.
Good day to have MOBY on. Yeah, obviously they are down from all-time highs,
Yeah.
but ultimately at a nice I would say like the fluctuation on this chart is not too crazy. I mean, think about it. For the last 41 days, they've been in this range, and I think the most we've seen in terms of volatility is
sharing it.
55. Oh, I wasn't sharing it. Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, so yeah, there we are again off the pump, but just been holding this range. I mean, for forever, right? Literally for 230 days, we've been holding this range. So we know they have this buyback model. A part of their mobile app as well is going to be flowing back into buyback. So interesting stuff there. Actually, they also got mentioned on pulling up bookmarks because I saved it on the Pump Spotlight, on the recent Pump Spotlight. So Pump Spotlight put out their first tweet, basically spotlighting a bunch of the Pump ICM projects. And the 4 were Kodak, who we've had on, MOBY, who's a sponsor of the show, Kalat, who good friends of the show we've had on. The only one we haven't had on is Dreams, and they're coming on next week. It's going to be a banger. So we have fully covered the Pumped Up Fun Internet ICM Spotlight account, but they did get a shout out. MOBY or Kodak got a shout out. We love Kodak. We think they're doing some cool things. Go read up there. MOBY got the shout out, who we're having on today. Maybe we'll read this real quick. Taking on deck screener and mobile trading apps, MOBY AI. Oh, it's kind of long. It's okay. MOBY AI led by the team behind Asset Dash's token screener that provides charting, discoverability, and trading tools. More famously, MOBY AI leverages smart money insights to empower retail traders to track and anticipate smart money / whale moves. MOBY Screener delivers insight and services through features like trending smart wallets identified by in-house algorithms, whales positions and trades, globally DCA tracking, and more. More recently, MOBY Screener released the MOBY mobile app for iOS and Android, which integrates Jupiter-powered trading, privy wallets, transaction cashback, and a referral program. And here's how MOBY's integrated. MOBY launched on January 13th, 2025, and rallied to nearly 200 million market cap at all-time highs. January 22nd, the native MOBY token now hovers around an $8 million market cap range, up from there, where the team continues to ship frequent updates on MOBY Screener Web, as well as the new MOBY mobile app. MOBY generates revenue through trading fees, premium banner upgrades similar to that of deck screener banner upgrades, and other token advertising methods. 50% of all revenues from both the app and the screener flow directly into MOBY buybacks, which follows a flywheel structure aiming to reward holders and revenue generating products. Boom. That's your little MOBY TLDR. Go read this tweet, guys. It covers a lot of what we've talked about, and I will make sure to get Josh that link so he can talk about it in show notes if he's doing that today.
Oh, definitely. MOBY's a sponsor of the show, so thanks to them. If you can pull up this tweet, this is the quote tweet that they had. It just shows the current user numbers that they've had for MOBY Mobile at 33,000 users. So this is
after
quite
what, like
impressive.
1 or 2 weeks?
Like 1 week even. Yeah, like a week and a half maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
we do have a ref link, guys. You should sign up with our ref link and help the show.
We have a ref link. Actually, I'm gonna make sure I switch to that.
Boom.
Right there. So invite.mobyscreener.com/mcg. Of course, supporters of the show, we're super grateful for them. We've transitioned off of Deck Screener to MOBY Screener for all of our charting. So all the charting on MCG is going to be on MOBY Screener,
courtesy
which was
of the MOBY team.
Courtesy of the MOBY team. So we also got a really early access to the MOBY app, and it's a really great product. I used to have the old Asset Dash app back in the day, but definitely really liking MOBY, the new stuff. And here we have Mateus. What's up?
What's up, guys?
Mateus, how we doing? You
Doing
pouring
great.
a healthy glass of water or something?
Water here.
Let's go. Oh, that looked like tequila.
No,
Mateus? We're not. It is Friday.
It was Friday, actually.
And you guys have 32,000 users, almost 33,000. So
Yes.
something to celebrate about, right?
100%. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, big fan of the show. Big happy to be, supporting you guys, and excited to chat about everything.
Sweet.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
And Josh, I'll let you take over screen too whenever. I know they have some cool demos and stuff. But Mateus, you guys have been doing a lot here. I think the mobile app's been your biggest recent forthcoming. Maybe just give us some insight there. We see FOMO is like blowing up. Yeah, so some thoughts from the team and yourself on the mobile app.
It's going incredibly well. Honestly, off to an incredibly hot start. Definitely, we had high expectations, but I would say they're definitely exceeding our expectations. As you can see on the screen, over 30,000 users on the app. I think the part that we're incredibly excited about is, one, the overall market opportunity here is massive. I think on-chain volumes just continue to grow. And I think we're offering a Robinhood-like experience for trading on-chain. And the second thing that we're really excited about is the feedback from the community in terms of users winning trades more often using the product. And it really comes down to where we put majority of our focus, which is on our discovery algorithm. I think this cycle in particular, I had tweeted about it yesterday. What's been so challenging is this has probably been the noisiest cycle because of all the launch pads And that's not going to change. More assets are going to come on chain. It's not just going to be launch pads. It's going to be RWAs, tokenized equities. We're already seeing that now. And we think the biggest opportunity to solve is to create the best end-to-end discovery experience for users. And if you leverage the right tools, you're using the right discovery source, you will make better decisions. And that should translate into higher win rates, more profitable trades. And that's what we're building here with MOBY app. So on the Whale Watch alert account, we now have a feed that every once in a while it'll tweet wins from our audience, and we're about to have to put rate limits on it because it's tweeting
Let's
so
go.
often, which is just a great problem.
People get sick of winning so much that
You're
gotta
gonna
get
win
rate
so
limits.
much, you're gonna get tired of winning.
Yeah. Hey, so I gotta ask, because one of the reasons I loved working with you is just the difference from Dex Screener, and Dex Screener kind of dominated the screener space for a while, and I hated that it was basically feeding meme coin promoters, and it kind of sucked from that perspective where people just wanted to trade like real stuff, and it felt like you couldn't. Give us maybe that founding story. Is MOBY a kind of response to Dex Screener? Like, where did you come up with the idea of like, I'm going to start a screener and do this better, and then come up with this unique algorithm and maybe tell us how that algorithm works?
Yeah, I'll give you the quick backstory as to how we got here. So it all started when we launched Whale Watch Alert, which it's one of the fastest growing meme coin, initially a meme coin account on X, and the X team actually reached out to us and said they had never seen a crypto account leveraging their API grow this quickly.
Wow.
And the initial idea was Whale Watch was just a feed that we had within the Acid Dash app, because users were basically telling us, look, we're having issues discovering coins. There's so many new launches. So we started with Whale Watch, and the key takeaway from users from like the initial release was, okay, discovery is a massive problem, and you're helping us solve this. And that's when we just dove deep and said, okay, well, we're tracking this on-chain data. How can we start building algorithms around this to offer better signal from the data that we're receiving? And that's where we spent months of our time fine-tuning and tweaking the algo to leverage the on-chain data that we were collecting to find opportunities quicker and reflect that to our users. And that ended up leading to more user demand, that they wanted a full-blown discovery experience with this data set that we were building. And thanks to our community again, they suggested initially, I would love to basically be able to see this in a Dex Screener type table. And that was a huge motivation behind the release of MOBY Screener initially, was we have very powerful data. Our users are finding opportunities and runners quicker with this data. Let's present it in a trending algorithm type format. And that trending algorithm that we built is incredibly powerful. I'm biased, but you can look on Twitter. People say that if you're in Solana, it's probably the best one. I tend to agree. And it's simply because we're leveraging smart money, thousands of wallets, analyzing them every second to reflect what they are trading. And we take, tons of different factors into account as to what needs to happen for us to rank a coin and how it gets ranked. So we released a MOBY Screener, and in that process, we had learned a lot about what people didn't like about Dex Screener. The fact that if you upgrade to a banner, somebody could buy it after you and change it to a drainer link, which is like a very common thing. But the other issue is that it's very, very pay to play, right? So I think on one side, the metrics that they use are very easy to gain metrics, right? Like you have all of these, like there's literally businesses where you can pay somebody and they'll rank you number one on Dex Screener, right? They'll turn on fake volume bots, they'll do, all these on-chain shenanigans, and they'll get you to the top of Dex Screener. The second thing is you could literally pay with the boost to get yourself in the top 5, the top 10. And if you're a user and you're using that as a discovery source and you're new or you're not familiar, a lot of times like those are really, really bad, outcomes for users. And I think we just introduced an incredibly new approach that put the community first, where our trending algorithm is based on our smart money analytics and our smart money data sets that cannot be gamed, right? These are highly profitable wallets that have been seasoned in the space, and we're constantly analyzing and adjusting those wallets. That activity is the main driver in our trending ranks. And then the second thing is creating a more community first upgrade process where 50% goes to buying back MOBY, the MOBY users on the platform own MOBY, and it creates that flywheel, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And of course, once MOBY Screener came out, the next big request was we want this on mobile. And on the mobile side, I think from what we've been hearing from users, they love the powerful data, the trending, the smart money, the active DCAs, the incredibly clean UI, the one tap to buy, powered by Jupyter Ultra. So you're getting, best in class pricing, best in class MEV protection, so on and so forth. Wallets powered by Privy, right? So owned by Stripe. So we basically realized when users wanted the mobile app that we could build this from the ground up to have the best end-to-end discovery and trading experience possible. And that's why, we did it with an entirely new app, right? It's like we didn't take this and try to implement it into AcidDash. We basically, from the ground up, built a system that's an incredibly strong foundation. And I think that's why we're seeing so many users gravitate towards the product and having such a good experience. It was built from, day one till now to be the best way to discover and trade assets on Solana on your phone.
Mateus, I want to talk about timing real quick because we're seeing this wave of migration to mobile, something which I feel like in the past was just, at least it came out of the blue for me. I never expected it. When it comes to how the AcidDash team was thinking about this and developing the mobile app, how long have you guys been in development of this mobile app, and why did you choose to build it? It seems like you came in right at the best time.
Yeah, so for us, I think another strategic advantage on our side is we've been building mobile apps in crypto with AcidDash since 2022. So we've learned a ton in that process, and I feel what your experience on MOBY is a lot of those learnings packed into this brand new product, right? Incredibly optimized, fast, easy to use, clean UI. So for us, our core competency is mobile. So it was a no-brainer for us to offer this in mobile version. MobyScreener.com made sense first for web, but then be able to offer this on mobile, I think, was very important.
Sweet. I want to talk about your relationship with Pump Fun. You guys were just featured, and let me pull that up real quick. Congratulations on that. You guys were just featured on the Pump Spotlight account, which I can pull up. What does the relationship with Pump Fun look like? You guys initially were planning a migration. You've since stepped back from that and decided to stay on Pump Fun. Yeah, maybe what does it look like from the team perspective? How's that relationship, et cetera?
Yeah, it's great. So I think they're doing a lot of really interesting stuff on ICM that we're really excited about. It came together really quickly. So shout out ICM Run and Mercy and the whole squad over there. Yeah. Initially at the time when we wanted to do the migration, it seemed like Pump was really going in the creator and meme meta, that was gonna be their core focus.
Yeah.
And as an ICM coin, we didn't really feel that was the direction they were to go with the platform, right? And we have a great relationship with the Bonk guys. Love the Bonk guys, great people, good vibes all around. Have known them for forever. But initially at that time, we felt they weren't going to put a huge focus on ICM. And one of the things that changed is kind of as time started to move forward, we started to learn more about their ICM ambitions, and we're really excited about that, right? Because I feel like we're an OG coin on Pump. We have a very clear ICM model with 50% of fees across MOBY Mobile and MOBY Screener going to buying back MOBY token. And we believe ICM is the future of on-chain, right? We think startups, products, they're all going to take this ICM model, and we're really excited about that. So I think one part is finding out that Pump was going to move into ICM, and they have a great team, a fantastic marketing arm. We thought there was a massive opportunity for us, and they also were really intent on us staying, and I think that's kind of reflected in the spotlight post, right? They also understand the value that we bring from an ICM perspective. So I think there was definitely synergies there. So that was one piece of new information that came out after the fact. The second part of this also played a huge role is we listened to our community, and we were getting when migration, how migration is going to work, what day, FAQs, literally, 24/7. And as we started to look more into how the migration was actually going to take place, we didn't feel like there was a way for us to do it that would not introduce complexities for the community. And for us, that ended up becoming a non-starter, right? So that also played like a tremendous role. Is we don't want to put our community in a bad spot. And as we learn more about the dynamics, it's difficult to do, right? Users have to take an action. There's a time-based component, and we kind of saw what happened with the Believe migration, right? Like there's a lot of people who missed the date. So when you accounted for that component as well, plus Pump making a huge push into ICM, it made a ton of sense for us to stay. And I'm really happy because I think it worked out great, right? We're working, closely with the Pump team. They have a great squad, Reigns, Revenge, the Shark Guy, he's awesome. So they have a great squad, and I really, appreciate, how they're starting to put a spotlight on us and what we're doing. So I think everything ended up working out perfectly, right? Pump's doing ICM, MOBY's part of their ICM movement, and then users did not need to go through the migration process, which I think, again, to highlight one of the key issues there is the time-based component. And we kind of saw that with the Believe thing. People travel, you have a busy work week, you end up missing the migration, and then you're penalized. And for us, like it's just unfair to users, and we didn't want to put people in that position.
I totally agree. You guys are leaning into this ICM movement heavily, which is interesting coming from, I think your success really stemmed from meme coins originally. I guess when I think about the team, and when you think about the Asset Dash and MOBY Screener team, how are you guys looking at ICM? You guys implemented X stocks. You guys have an ICM tab in the MOBY app. How are you guys thinking about ICM?
So I believe that it's going to be the one of the main verticals for founders, moving forward, right? I think we got to this position with MOBY Screener and the MOBY app. And I think a big part of that was through having the MOBY token out on the market. Because when people hold the token, when users of your product hold the token, they have vested incentive in giving you incredibly quality feedback. And they help drive the product roadmap. And I think tying that together is incredibly important. And if you're building a product and you're heavily focused on what your community wants to see in that product, I think adding the token component just really creates aligned incentives, right? And that's what our vision is for ICM, and how we implement it with MOBY is, as the product grows, as we continue to take market share in Solana trading, that success should tie back to the token through the flywheels and the buybacks that we're implementing with the tokenomics behind MOBY. And already in this first week, we haven't shared this publicly, so this is kind of new, but since the app release next week, we've already, stealthily bought back about 0.5% of the supply. Nice. And we're gonna have like public dashboards
in a week
since the release last Monday.
Oof.
Yeah. I was gonna ask actually about what kind of what your revenues were over across. Like, do you mind breaking it down kind of by segment? Because I don't think people might have an idea of what like Dash Screener was making, which they were making tons of money. So you're gonna make tons of money theoretically.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear the TAM too, if you have an idea on that.
Like how big you think it could get.
So I'll break it down into like kind of two parts. So one, we're going to release public dashboards. We're going to do that strategically, but the buybacks have already started. So those dashboards will be out for sure before the end of the year. The TAM is massive. You have one TAM, I guess like the smaller TAM is just the Dex Screener TAM, and they have months where they do 1.5 mil plus in upgrades. The big TAM, and what we're really excited about, and what we're seeing with the MOBY mobile app, is the swap TAM is massive. You still have Phantom still doing $300,000-$400,000 a day in trading fees, and we think we have an opportunity to make the MOBY app the number one way to trade Solana tokens on mobile, and we have ambitions to go multi-chain as well. But right now our focus is to dominate on Sol. So in terms of that, if you even just take the Phantom number, right, it's quite large. So for us, the North Star now is like very straightforward: make MOBY mobile the number one way to trade Solana tokens on mobile, and go after the millions of dollars in fees that are being generated every day across all these different applications.
Mateus, how do you guys think about going multi-chain? We see like some very good feedback, I think primarily from FOMO, about their multi-chain features and just not having to go and swap and do that tedious, time-consuming tasks. Like you said, you're just Solana focused right now. How do you guys think about going multi-chain, and what does that unlock for you guys? How far out is that, et cetera?
Yeah, so I think we are exploring it. I think you will see another chain before the end of the year. Pretty confident in that. For us, it's really just listening to our community and figuring out where they want to trade. But we have already started the trending algo whale watch smart money development on another chain. Not going to share the chain now, but we're going to do planning on doing a collab announcement later this month. So yeah, I think in general, it's always turns back to our community. If they want to trade in another place, we want to be able to offer that. And I do think you're going to have multiple token ecosystems that do well. So we want to make sure that we support the ones that are doing well.
I guess on that future looking note, you guys, are talking to the community. You have plans to go multi-chain. What are you maybe most excited about that's coming? And what would you say the current app is lacking and you're excited to improve upon?
So we have this is honestly a blessing. I'm really happy about this. We have a very specific list of features that have been given to us by the community that they want to see. And I'm excited to go down that list and execute on all of them. So an example of that is candlestick charts. Candlestick charts will be live in the app next week. Buys and sell on the chart, that'll be live in the app next week. So, the first mission is we want to go through this list that have been given to the community. We actually have a public feedback board where community members send feedback in Telegram or on Twitter. And what we do is once we add it to our dev roadmap, we add it to this public board so you can actually track our progress. That's something that we're doing new with the MOBY app that I'm really excited about. So, first and foremost is deliver on the features that the community wants. What I'm really excited about is the general feedback and the response and the numbers that we're seeing is people are migrating their trading over to MOBY. And I think it's the clean UI, the seamless trading, but I think a big part of it is the discovery. People are tired of being on these other platforms where they're finding out about these potential runners way too late. And as more assets get on chain, that's only going to get more convoluted and difficult on these other platforms. I think we have a very streamlined solution to put in front of you the coins that are worth looking into. And I've been investing in this space since 2016. I think this cycle is incredibly noisy because of all the new token launches. The most important thing before making a trade is your starting point and the initial points that you're looking at before you decide to allocate. So if you're on another platform that's showing you a list of 20 coins and 90% of those coins is complete noise, you're already thrown off.
Yeah.
What's great about MOBY is it's very precise, it's very select. And when you see those coins, like that is a great place to start your journey and come up with your own thesis as to why you should invest or not. But we're giving you early signals into what's worth looking into. So goal now is, again, as I said before, the market share for Solana token trading on mobile is massive. And we want to break into the top 3 quickly. And if we do and when we do, there's a massive TAM there of fees that will be generated, and we'll go to buying back MOBY and really kickstart this flywheel. But for a 2-week-old product, the start has been fantastic.
And you've probably made a compelling argument for this already, but how do you get sticky capital coming onto your app? How do you get people to stay and spend money with you guys?
So again, the numbers we're seeing are incredibly strong. When people just deposit and swap, they're incredibly sticky. Again, only 2 weeks, but DAU, MAU there is better than those peak numbers that people talk about like Tinder and things like that. And I think it's because once you come onto the app and you start doing your trading there, and you kind of compare it to where you're trading in the past, you're seeing better results. You're having a better experience. And the other thing too is we have a really good rewards experience too. I think people were tired of points programs because a lot of projects actually just never gave the token. Our reward program, not only do we have lower fees than a lot of our competitors, most of our competitors, we have 20 to 30% cash back that's delivered to you in MOBY to your progress bar, and 30% referral fees. So as you're trading and using the product, you're growing your rewards at the same time, and your rewards are in MOBY, and that also creates a lot of aligned incentive with the community as well. So I think we've really focused on making sure the discovery was best in class, making sure the wallet and trading was best in class. And to do that, we partnered with the 2 best companies in the space, and then making a rewards program that was simple, straightforward, and very rewarding. So I think we kind of checked all those boxes, and I think that's a big reason why people are having such a great time.
The 50% buybacks. Are you buying that MOBY and burning it? Are you buying that and holding it in treasury, or are you buying it and using it for rewards? What's the use case for the MOBY bought back?
Great question. So it's two sources now, treasury and rewards. So those are the two sources for the buyback components at the moment. And obviously, as we scale and as we grow, we can add new variations there, whether it's burn, whether it's stake. Right now, again, like that first North Star is get us into the top 3 of market share, and that opens up a ton of optionality for us.
So you talk about some of those buybacks going to rewards. You have the progress bar and app. There's a lot of questions about this. Is the progress bar finalized? How can we continue to own MOBY? And what do you think when people tell you, hey, well, when people get to claim this MOBY, it's just going to cause additional sell pressure?
So one of the reasons we did the progress bar at 100K is we basically baked into the math where the buybacks through the volume generation would offset reward claims tremendously. So there would be more power in the buybacks than there would be in reward distribution. So I think that's kind of like the first thing on why we did it at the 100K is it rewards sticky loyalty. But as users are seeing, we're doing airdrop codes, we're doing a ton of initiatives to help you grow your progress bar. And we have another idea that we're cooking up that is on the trading side that would allow you to actually grow the progress bar even quicker with certain types of trades. It's something that we're cooking up behind the scenes. But yeah, the progress bar model, it aligns incentives and then rewards loyal users. But also too, when you get the reward, it's much more meaningful. So we have done reward programs in the past on Acid Dash where people would get $5, $10 rewards and it wouldn't really move the needle. What's good about this MOBY reward program is, when you get to the end of your progress bar, which you will, right? If you're trading on the app, if you're inviting friends, if you're using the product, you're going to get to the end of the progress bar. When you get there, it's going to be a juicy, 1K, 2K type reward, right? And then again, the system allows us to ensure that through the buybacks are far greater and more powerful. But again, that further aligns the whole system because it's all tied to MOBY, right? Because those buybacks, MOBY doing well, so on and so forth, is also growing the value of your progress bar.
That makes sense. I want to talk about piercing into mainstream. You have the product, you have the vision, you have the team, you have what you need. How do you pierce into mainstream? How do you get that attention?
Yeah, so I think step one is get the Solana market, right? Which in itself is proven to be incredibly valuable. Step two, if you go to our Twitter, we posted a video today about pre-stocks. So this is kind of almost alluding to where we see like the longer term vision of this going. And pre-stocks retweeted it. So shout out to them for the cross promo. The longer term vision we see here is all assets are moving on chain, and you can actually build a diversified portfolio on MOBY today. And we did a tweet yesterday in the morning, if you want to pull that one up as well, that shows it's a video like this, but it shows the user in the video acquiring Robinhood stock, Bitcoin, meme coins, and gold all in the same video, right? So as more assets,
posted that today?
That was yesterday. I think scroll down a little more. Yesterday was an active day. A lot of tweets.
Okay. Yeah,
Pump
you
on
guys pump
Spotlight.
them out.
Yeah. It's that one. Yeah. Right.
This one.
Yeah.
So much motion on the timeline. I'm looking for tweets and just trying to find it.
It's like 7 a day, dude.
Yeah.
But this video is powerful, right? Like if you look at this video, you're in the MOBY app today, you're buying Robinhood stock, right? They just bought Troll before that. You're buying MOBY, of course. You're buying Bitcoin, you're buying gold. This is all in the app right now. And I think in a year, at the pace that things are currently going, you will be able to build a completely diversified portfolio just through on-chain assets on Solana. And that's the power of what we're offering in the app now and why it has that Robinhood on-chain feel, right? You have all of that, whether it's meme coins, tokens, ICM, stocks, OpenAI, SpaceX, like all that's available in the app today. And I think that's only going to grow. What we're really excited about is when that RWA stuff really takes off, applying that same smart money and trending algo that we have to these real world assets. And a phrase that I always go back to is like people listen to or something that resonates with people in terms of our brand is, Bonk Whale bought this coin, right? Or there's literally people who have sold merch that are literally screenshots from the Whale Watch account, right? But where I see this going is, a Tesla whale of tokenized Tesla is buying a new ICM token that just launched, you know, a few hours ago, right? Like that's kind of where we see this going, and that's when like this big capital comes on chain. They're trading the RWAs, but right now we have the foundation to scale to that when it does eventually arrive.
Not to be repetitive, because you kind of just covered it, but broader grand vision for the app. And again, you just kind of went over this stuff, but it goes further than Solana. It goes further than just, you know, you said stocks, you mentioned all that stuff. So what's your grand vision here with what you're building?
Grand vision will be Robinhood on chain. And I think the key thing that makes us different or stand out is the fact that being that it's on chain, our discovery algorithms that we're building, right? So you have the Robinhood on chain component, being that you can buy any asset as RWAs and all that comes on chain. But for us, where we put a lot of our time and focus is on our discovery algorithm, and we want to be the best place to discover assets first and discover opportunities first. And I think that ends up being the powerful 1-2 punch, right? In Web 2, all these older applications, you know, it's not on chain, right? It's like Citadel and all these guys behind the scenes that are actually like moving the needle here. And on chain, everything's on the blockchain. We've built tech to read the blockchain and help you analyze and discover opportunities based on the data that we're receiving. We present that in a simple UI. So you have that Robinhood on-chain component where it's simplicity, you know, any asset, so on and so forth, but it's powered by our smart money tech that's actually making you a better investor. And like the way I think about it, you know, in my head is like, if you want to be the best trader, if you want to be the best investor, you need like the best car to get you to your destination. I feel like that's what we offer with the product.
There's this tweet here with Troll where I guess folks that hold Troll can go in, enter a code, and get MOBY airdrop. Can you just walk people through, because I'm sure they might hold Troll? I see USDUC. Where are the other airdrop tokens that you were collabing with? I'm trying to see if I can find them.
So we started a new series called Community Drops. We're going to do one per week, where we're going to partner with different communities, and holders in those communities can go to our link. It's airdrop.mobysooner.com and claim a MOBY airdrop code that they can instantly enter in the app that goes straight to their progress bar. And the idea behind the campaign is, one, we want to build a product that works for everybody in the ecosystem, but we also want to reward holding. I think we've kind of moved away from that. So this is a cool way for us to partner with projects, and, you know, shout out Troll, shout out USDUC. You know, they both collabed on this and shared, and, you know, it's really exciting.
I got to read this user's comment. I got liquidated on perps last week. RIP Pepe. Sorry, buddy. Never touching perps again. Instead, I've been using the MOBY app only, and I've been making good money to get back on my feet.
Let's go.
W's in the chat.
He messaged me the other day, actually. So shout out to you.
Yeah,
we love it.
Ask for some advice.
Yeah, super excited to hear you're making money. Sorry about the, you know, loss that happened on the perps platform, but super excited that you're making money on the MOBY app. That's exactly what you know, we want to see. We want to see people doing well, and also too, for most traders, I would say, you know, chill, right? You know, perps are definitely like a very advanced tool, so I love to see that, you know, that user in particular was able to move over to the MOBY app and is having success. So that's awesome.
On that note, are you guys interested in integrating perps to the MOBY app at some point?
We've
To
gotten
the dismay of Pepe.
We've gotten requests for it. We are very much focused on spot. I think spot works best for most users, and at the end of the day, like, we're building the app to help you make money. And
gotta protect Pepe here.
Yeah.
Mateus.
It's also, perps are more advanced. There's you know, a lot more things that look at October 10th, right? You could have been doing everything right that day and still gotten really screwed. So I think spot, there's a lot of opportunity in the spot markets. There's a lot of opportunity in spot assets on chain, and, you know, we want to, you know, dominate that and give our users the best experience through that.
Yeah, I want to actually just touch on your ICM tag that you have. Can you talk about kind of how you see this, you know, building out? We had SOAR on yesterday, which dropped their first project, CPT, and we had like over 10,000 viewers. It was wild. So a lot of people saw the MOBY whale popping out of the bar at the bottom. But yeah, how do you think of kind of the ICM space? Is it just pump, or do you see expanding out to SOAR? I know you already have kind of Believe in there and you can kind of toggle by eco, but in terms of what that's curated on the ICM tab, how do you think about that?
Yeah, so we definitely will expand it for sure. And we have a lot of plans there, right? We think, I want to like leak too much alpha as to what we have planned there, but at the end of the
Come
day,
on,
we wanna-
Mateus, you start talking about it, you got to finish.
yeah, we want to make it very clear and give you the best data possible for you to
Yeah.
make the best investing decision possible. So you can envision a world where the ICM pages and the stock pages and the VC token pages, those market detail pages look a bit different, and provide more data and context to those coins. But for sure, like the end goal is give you the most powerful resources to help you make the best investing decision possible. So all of that will definitely expand.
Totally. And we want to definitely tap into that because, that's what our show is definitely around. I maybe kind of in this line of thinking, like you have the prediction market tab. Is that kind of what you're thinking around for ICM? Is something more geared? Like, is there some nuances to ICM that adds different data, kind of like how you had to build like almost a separate interface for prediction markets?
Yeah, I think on ICM, things like revenue, things like the project buybacks, the user growth, all of those are data sets that would be important on an ICM page. So those are all things that we're thinking about. And yeah, I think over time, every asset page will be more specific to the nature of the token, right? And that's one of the things that we're definitely focused on.
Cool. And I think Dom pulled up this tweet. We didn't have it on screen the first time. It was just the troll one. Is there any further call to action here for the community drop series, or do we cover it? Any other communities that you can leak joining this program?
Yeah, so we're doing one next week, and that it's going to actually be an NFT one. So we have NFT communities that are going to be involved in that. And then our goal is to just do one per week. So I definitely want to do one with the ICM community as well. Get like a ton of leading ICM.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do one for that group. But yeah, the idea is one per week, probably until the end of the year.
That's alpha, guys. If so, maybe go accumulate. Not financial advice. Go get some ICM.
Mercy's like, yo, don't leak. No, kidding. I love it.
Sweet. What about? I don't think we even asked, so I just have to. What about the team? How many people do you guys have at Asset Dash working on this thing?
10 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
What descriptions?
Yeah. So it's about half engineers and then half marketing, community support. One thing I'm really proud of that we put a big focus on that I feel like a lot of other apps don't is we actually have 24/5 live customer support during the weekdays, and then on the weekends we have support from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. So that's like I think something that makes us very different is that's always been a big importance to us. If you're using our product and you reach out and you have a question or you have a support issue, we want to make sure that you can get in contact with the team ASAP. And then of course, like most of the team works the entire weekend regardless. We have dedicated members of the team who are hyper focused on support. We have a live chat in the app. We have our Telegram channel. So yeah, that's something that's really important to us.
Yeah, no customer service on Phantom, So there you go.
No customer service for most crypto products.
Yeah,
I've
like
actually
most
noticed.
crypto products.
Yeah, but no, I think there's a big market. I think I've seen so many people unhappy with Deck Screener and their lack of innovation there. And I think people are looking for somewhere to go, right? And so if you guys can hit the nail on the head here and crack this, like you said, there's a massive addressable market there. So I don't know, Josh, I think that kind of covers all my questions. And unless you have anything, I think.
Yeah, I got a couple more here. So maybe we'll get into Pepe here. What's the best way to give feedback on the app via the app feedback or Telegram?
Both work. So if you want to give feedback in the app, you go to settings and we have live customer support there. Just go to the get support tab, and then Telegram as well works. So we have team members in both channels and everything gets circulated to the same place for our team channels. So both those avenues work well.
Awesome. And I see a tweet here that you retweeted from Austin Barrick, who is
Great guy.
a partner at Relay. Do you have like liquid token funds that own MOBY? Like what's kind of like your holder mix? Is any notable investors or something in the MOBY? Like what's your funding background too? Is it just purely bootstrapped through token, or is there other funding sources you have?
Yeah, so shout out Austin, great guy. If you have an opportunity to work with Austin, you should. He's awesome. Yeah, he's a holder. He has a great fund. We have a few other liquid funds that are involved that haven't announced yet. I think they'll probably get the word out over the next month or so. Our background, we raised a bit of capital in like 2022, but we've found ways to generate money, and a lot of that has been through the swap fees, the pro upgrades, so on and so forth. So we're in a great financial spot in that regard. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of like the overall TAM. The TAM here is pretty massive. In terms of the MOBY token, it was completely fair launched. So I think that's another thing too that's like really interesting is we literally, deployed on pump. We're very clear from the beginning about Acid Ash, which is like the parent company holding 25 to 30% of the supply from like the initial launch, and like the rest of that has gone to the community. And I think that's something that makes us like really different. Did not have any sort of like supply control or things like that. Like we just wanted to do it as organic as we possibly could and literally deploy it on pump. So I think it's really interesting. I think obviously like a lot of these projects have like supply control and like stuff like that. Like there's things that they can do in that regard. For us, we're really taking community first vision and really growing a very diverse holder base through people just buying on the open market. And I'm really excited about that because I think over time you start getting like very steady accumulation, a lot of strong hands, and it sets the project up with like a really strong foundation for the future. And we're gonna be building here for a long time, so we're excited about where things are going.
Awesome, Dom. That's all questions I had. I mean, I'm thrilled to have you on, Mateus. So I know we've chatted for a while, and I'm glad we could finally land on a show. And when I was designing MOBY into the bar here, I was like, I needed something more than a logo, so I got it where the whale's jumping out of it. So
Can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
I love it. I love it. No, huge fan of the show. You guys are crushing it. And yeah, I think this was great. So let me know when you guys have the final full copy. We'll tweet it, email it.
We'll clip it for
Yeah,
sure.
it's awesome.
Sweet, man. Great conversation. Exciting to see Pump Fund innovating on the ICM space and you guys heading that up and leading. Great traction on the mobile app. I don't know, Mateus, maybe closing thoughts.
Yeah, really excited. Off to an incredibly strong start. Fantastic, first 2 weeks of the app. If you are not on the app yet, get on it. We have a limited time campaign where you get a deposit bonus directly to your rewards bar when you sign up and make your first deposit. Yeah, that deposit
Code
bonus.
MCG.
Yeah, you sign up with the link. That deposit bonus is 100 plus directly to your progress bar in MOBY. So people are loving it. Come in, deposit. You start off your progress bar with a juiced allocation. And if you have any feedback on the app, XDM works great, our live customer support, but we're here to come in and become a dominant player in the Solana trading space. And so far, all signals are pointing towards us being in the right direction. So very excited.
Bang.
Awesome.
And quick question, Mateus, just while we're on this topic. Do you guys plan to add some sort of like code people can just put in, or is it just going to be the link? I know some people are like nervous to click links.
Yeah. So right now, the plan is just the link. What I would say that's a little different than our link, again, you should always be careful, is our link, if you're on mobile, it will directly open the App Store. So like if you don't have the app and you click the link, you'll either open the Apple App Store or the Android App Store. So that's one thing, hopefully, to give people some peace of mind. We may add to a code paste model. I think it's something that we need to chat about with the team, but just so people are aware, if you see, it's always a invite.mobyscreener.com link. And if you click it on mobile, it will directly open the App Store. And then once you're in the App Store, you can easily confirm that it's the right app.
Yeah, just pause the video and literally type it in, guys. Honestly, it's the URL's right there. So you're safe as long as you type in that URL exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet deal. Mateus, man, always a pleasure.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Chat soon.
Take care.
Great chat.
Yeah, great chat. It is the mobile world of trading has been greatly expanding, so they're directionally correct.
Yeah, look, guys, like when we started the show, obviously we knew we needed sponsors to help sustain our livelihoods. When MOBY came around, a little lore, as I reached out to Mateus like at the beginning of the year because I was like, I need a job, want to work in crypto. I saw them as having this really like awesome kind of self-feeding system with their X accounts. They always knew how to like work the algorithm, get a bunch of attention, build these accounts up, and add a lot of value. And then, yeah, when the show started to take off, they popped in and we did a session together with PMX, and boom, the rest is history. They became a sponsor and supporter. But we also wanted a trading app. So that's one thing always wanted as a sponsor was a trading app, one that we could work with. But we wanted someone who was reputable, had a really great product, and yeah, MOBY was it. So
It's
that's the
perfect.
lore.
Now we get to use their charts on all our streams. We have
That's
a
it.
ref code. It's just like it's a nice fit. So
Yeah. So go delete your deck screener and migrate your watch list over to MOBY screener. It's taken a little bit to get that done, but we've done it through solid discipline. So
that's right. Sweet. Josh, anything you want to cover? There's been I think I had a tweet from Frank D Gods actually.
yeah, let's go
Someone
through like I don't know, 15-20 minutes of charting and stuff, news.
Cool. Yeah, so on the notes of charts, Frank D Gods actually put out this tweet and I will share. Oh, yeah, I got it. Nice. And he said noticing things, and it is a link to a tweet he put out 22 hours ago, and this is what he said. The next wave of crypto is probably a violent repricing of the top 100 coins. There's too much bloat and a ticking clock. For this reason, I think there will be more volatility in the crypto markets, which will introduce new liquidity wanting to take advantage of these higher liquid 2 to 10x's, which will flow downstream to on-chain and inspire a focus on utility/fundamentals. If you think about it, even NFTs had a mini utility meta in the bear, probably similar with on-chain coins, but hopefully much bigger. The best sailors are forged in choppy water. Good luck. I think it's an interesting thesis, especially today, seeing a lot of these dino coins, quote unquote.
You zoom it in,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen, so I couldn't see your hand
all good,
gestures.
all good.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting tweet, interesting timing, especially considering we're seeing these dino coins, or really these top 100 coins, start to catch bids. Actually, I think he linked something in this tweet, which I could. Where did he put it? Maybe not.
Chill send us a bunch of tickers. We could maybe pull them open even.
Yeah. Well, there was a good example he put down of, yeah, here it is.
Right
Okay.
here.
So more violent repricing ahead, right? So
Easy.
noticing things, paste this in the comments. Again, look at this. Zach, obviously we know Zcash has been ripping. That's why privacy is kind of hot right now. Up 300%, Dash 235, DCR 72, ICP, an OG 66, and then so on and so forth. Even Virtual is getting some bids, Filecoin, Monero. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thesis too. Yeah. If these pump, we do probably see that downstream effect. And why would people go for the top 100 coins? I think generally most of the top 100 coins suck and they're worthless. But people would go for them because it's concentrated. They're on Sexes, they're on Coin Market Cap, they're on CoinGecko. It's right there in the top 100. It's easy for people to bid. There doesn't take a lot of DD and work. And I think the effect of that is a downstream repricing, people searching for utility and ICM and projects like that. So it's an interesting thought, and we're seeing these pumps. I mean, this ZEC pump has been mind blowing. I'm not sure if you've been watching it or following it, but it's insane.
Oh, it's crazy. It also, in my mind, like we see Solana down here at like, I don't know, 160 now. Like it feels kind of, when you see this activity on chain, I don't necessarily get super bearish either with Sol at 160.
Yeah, what is this telling us? I like, this is telling us that there's some appetite, even for dino coins. Yeah, like this is nuts. So the appetite is there. Why have we seen more attraction in the stock market, equities market, index funds over crypto recently? Well, I think just simply put, the gains have been better. So what happens if you start getting a few of these edge cases, right? Like ZEC, some other dino coins, XRP, the ones that the retail loves, start to put some nice pumps in. Well, that starts attracting the retail back to crypto, right? Whereas crypto has just been underperforming equities, I would say, in general, this entire cycle. So why would anyone want to trade crypto? There's got to be a reason to. So if we see a couple of these cases, could be interesting for us. We could be seeing some volatility, as Frank put it, on chain. So I don't know. Any general thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, capital rotates. So some of this capital will rotate down the stack. And I just think this is not bearish activity with Sol at 162. So Would I be buying ZEC here, Zcash? I mean, I owned it back in 2016. I don't think I'd be buying it here
I wouldn't be
at
buying it here.
500
No.
bucks. But I mean, like what let's go down a list maybe. Like what could be privacy that's on Solana that's recently launched through a really, really reputable launch pad and one that we really like on the show. Dom, what's a privacy coin that could catch a bid here?
Well, we've had Umbra, we've had Cypher, we've had ZERA, right? Those are the three that come to mind.
Let's pull them up. Yeah, let's
Okay.
pull. Well, we showed ZERA earlier in the show. I mean, that's obviously caught bid. Let's do a quick.
Josh is a big Umbra fan.
I don't own any, but I like the look of the chart. I mean, I think it feels bottomed, and any sort of product success or metrics around adoption, and I think this sends much higher. And it's MetaDAO, right? Like we're seeing bid in that eco.
Yeah, no, Umbra's good. I don't know. I actually, yeah, I'm with Josh on this too. I don't have many positions in privacy coins right now. I see the angle. I definitely see the angle. Maybe I just haven't felt compelled enough to buy one yet. But Umbra's cool. ZERA's doing cool
The
things.
play with Umbra is they have an SDK that you can drop into, any developer can pick up and drop into their app, and now they can do private transactions. And like this is a sticking point. Even if I tip a clipper, again, they know our entire, MCG wallet. Like I don't want that. So there's privacy on Solana that needs to be solved.
There's privacy in crypto that needs to be solved in general. Or if we want to get to that point of,
I'm looking for
everyone
something
using
like
it.
this. I'm really looking for something like this as a business owner.
On MetaDAO too, we'll touch on that. They did just announce that their next feature listing on MetaDAO will be Solomon Labs, which is this project. We remember what happened last time. Last one was Avicii, I believe.
Ooh, play this. This video looks fire.
Yeah, it does. Loud.
Here, maybe I'll move the MOBY thing to the right. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. All right. I'm gonna turn this down a bit because it sounded loud. Let me know how you like it.
I can't hear it. I don't know if you try resharing your with your volume.
Can't hear it, man. Absolutely. Of course. All right, here we go. Here we go again. Man, it's just I don't get it. All right. Restart. Round 2. Okay. No idea what it does.
Yeah. It's funny. AI videos made it so easy to just create a vibe and a feeling without actually showing much of anything.
It seemed like some sort of staking mechanism. Make every dollar earn built on Solana. Let's do the link tree.
Yeah.
It was a sick video though, for what it's worth.
Absolutely. When does this go live? Is it on? Let me see if I can pull it on MetaDAO.
And I will pull up the website. Local restrictions. Oh, brother. Okay, get USDV, Solana's native stablecoin. Yeah, it's a stablecoin. Okay. Interesting. That's kind of what I was getting. With real yield. Buy USDV, stake it to earn yield, or lock to earn points. No fluff, just the best stablecoin. Which has been hot, man. Stablecoin, this I could see doing well. And I know nothing about it, but just like off rip, stablecoins have been a super hot market that's typically very difficult to get a piece of, right? We see XRP, I think, is leaning into stablecoins. Coinbase is leaning into stablecoins, along with so many others. But you can't buy it. They sell equity for these stablecoins. You can't obviously get exposure. So interesting. Let's see. Stake and earn yield 21% APY on stables. Jeez.
Okay, what kind of wizardry is going on there?
See, we remember during the DeFi boom back in, man, I forget whenever it was, I forget the year, but you would see
The
insane
Ohm.
APYs. Yeah, the Ohm days.
Yeah.
The issue was you just wanted to get in and get out before the platform blew up, right? Now 21% is not insane compared to, we're talking thousands of percent, right? But how do they achieve this? How do they achieve this? Get pips, get 20. Okay. Value locked, $1,410,670,000 in value locked. That's awesome.
Already? This is
243,000
live?
stake. The platform is just like Umbra and Avicii had platforms live before they raised.
They have 1.4 billion locked. Is there collateral? So do you
Oh
deposit
no, I guess
collateral?
is that
they issue token?
1,410,670.
Oh.
Why did I feel like I saw someone say billion somewhere?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. What? Dom,
Making
we've done
billions in
this
idle
a
on-chain.
factor of 10.
No, this is not me though. This right here, it said we're making billions in idle on-chain stable capital
Yeah.
productive. So I just figured. But yeah, no, 1.4 million, which is, I guess,
Okay.
I mean, it's cool. Asset locations, custodial, vault yield distribution. So it's a stable. I gotta understand how this works. Gotta understand the mechanisms here. Let's dig. Learn more here. Okay, introducing Solomon. Make every dollar earn TLDR. What is it? A Solana native dollar system with USDV spendable stablecoins and USDV staked USDV that occurs the yield from a delta neutral basis trade for qualified holders. YAS can stream the basis trade yield directly to USDV without staking. Oh geez. Let me get a drink. It's gonna be one of these write-ups. Okay. What's live today? Everything is live today and proven in a year-long beta. I love that MetaDAO comes to raises with like reputable products with track records. This is what I love. Okay, it's been proven over a year. The web application, the Meteor liquidity pools, let's go, the yields and the basis trade powering them, and more. How it earns yield comes from the delta neutral basis trade, spot, long, perps. Okay, so it's a perp arbitrage yield. Let's see. Across Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, majors. Capture perp funding, T-bill yields is in the works. Okay, so they have other ways of funding. So you mint the USD V, you stake it, and they use that to earn yields in a bunch of different ways, basically.
Man, those perps would have printed during the liquidity
10.
suck. Yeah.
But I mean, they probably did, right? This platform was around for that time, so
Yeah, and maybe that's why it's 20%. But I don't know. I mean, I like the yield, but there is exposure there. I don't know if that's fully understood here.
yeah, that's true.
Does it say how it's getting the underlying, like where those perps trades are being placed, or does it just say perps?
Let's see. It hasn't said it yet. The next MetaDAO raise is November 14th through 18th. Okay, so coming up in 7 days here. Why Solomon exists? We're building a more composable dollar that stays at $1, doesn't rebase, earns yield across DeFi. Yeah, let's see. In plain English, what Solomon does: capture funding yield from delta neutral basis trades. Okay, so it's a funding arbitrage, right? So they find two assets, take both sides, and they capture the funding that's outweighing the other funding depending on the different perpetual exchange. So 16% APY from that. Passes it to the right holder, staker, and eligible USDV holders. Keep dollars spendable and composable while still earning yield. What's live today? Engine, custom ground-up orchestration, portfolio risk limits, concentrated and exchange caps, pricing oracles, layer, position lifecycle, blah, blah, blah. There's security. You can read that. Program controls, app. Okay, custody and connectivity, oracles, blah, blah. Okay, how it works. Solomon uses a two-token design, USDV, $1 stablecoin held near its peg by two-way arbitrage. Typical entry/exit is via stablecoin pools on Solana. Approved market makers and compliant parties can mint/burn. SUSDV, staked USDV to earn the yield generated from the basis trade. Rewards are dipped are dripped into the staking program multiple times per week to keep distribution smooth and prevent front running. Yield engine executes basis trades, hold one spot and -1 perp on majors. On sexes, price moves offset. Captures the yield generated from funding. So again, it's literally just an arbitrage strategy. I say literally, I'm not saying it's simple to execute on, but it takes the exact same trade on 2 different perp exchanges and then captures the one earning positive funding. And the price moves are offsets. If one goes up, the other goes down, and it's nullified, but it captures the yield generated from the funding. Okay. To do T-bill back.
Do they talk anything about like if they're working with a market maker that's executing that strategy, or?
Let's see. Maybe it mentions it here. Protocol flow. So yeah, I wonder if someone's got to.
Someone has to be executing these trades.
Someone has to be executing. Yeah. Let's see.
Could Control F go winter mute? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Surely
well, let's look at this.
Mention somebody.
Yeah, they got
part
to,
of the race.
I'm sure it's said somewhere, maybe just not here. Yield engines, so treasury holding, staked, neobank. Who qualifies? Teams, DAOs, LPs, and complete KYC and ML and counterparty onboarding. The USDV is a programmatic yield system, so LPs earn pool fees. No routing contract. Who's it for? Transparency proofs. Okay. Assets and custody statements or CFU, exchange position snapshot, status live accounting. There's a live dashboard, so you can track everything. But yeah, you're right. I'm not sure who is executing on these positions and trades. I mean, surely it's not just an employee going in and pushing the buy button.
I hope not.
I don't know.
Okay,
Hey, could
keep
be
an
cool
eye on it. Yeah, when's the race start?
November 14th, I believe is what it said.
Okay.
Oh, wow. There's no info. Okay, so this is the account. I'm just going to go over here, going to add this to my contact address watch list, and I'll be watching it, paying attention. There we go.
We'll cover it when it goes live.
Yes, we will. Maybe get him on the show.
Avicii did amazingly well. So, I mean, I'm sure this will be in demand. Anything MetaDAO touches right now is going to be in demand.
Yep. Yes. I don't know, though. I think, let me check. Maybe I had some stuff saved on Twitter, but I don't think I have too much to cover outside of that. We had some good interviews today. Oh, we could talk about Loyal, the MetaDAO project.
Yeah. And Jingo wants Peep Cards saying something about token utility. So we'll pull that up.
Peep Cards just announced token utility. Okay, yeah, I'll pull up Cards right now, actually. If you guys don't remember, Cards was the gotcha Pokemon game that came on chain. People fell in love with it. So let's see. I'll pull up their chart first. Okay, yeah, nice pump on this from 50 mil from, let's get this in market cap here. From 100 mil to 140 mil. I mean, it pumped to nearly 200 actually, but wow, still extremely down. Yeah. I remember this run, man. This run on Cards was nuts, bro. Just straight from 45 mil up to 600. But
way
I mean,
overvalued.
Look, yeah, way overvalued. But I heard they were making really good revenue back then. You know, that's what everyone was saying. So let's see. So can I get a link? Read more on X. Here we go. That's a cool feature.
Yeah, nice feature there, MOBY.
I actually wasn't aware they had that. So okay, share this tab. Let's go. And thanks for calling this out, by the way. So yeah, Gotcha is live. This is what they do, guys. You can spend money, spin a wheel, and get a Pokemon card or something.
You gotta always be zooming.
Always gotta be zooming. I try to make sure you guys can read the captions too, though. That's part of it. Okay, but let's see. Just tease our new newsletter along with a lot more alpha link below. Oh, we got to go through a newsletter. Here we go. Okay, newsletter it is. Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, let me read it first. Here we go. Okay, sweet. Cards, what's next? Non-drop info. would imagine this is where they cover the token buybacks they're talking about. 2 months ago, 2 months in, and wow, we launched cards not knowing what to expect. Then you showed up. Since we've more than triple card inventory, are looking to open up our own vault. 3 new gotcha machines and on deck in next 1 to 2 months. Okay. Okay, let's later in this post we'll introduce some initial rewards for holding cards. So gotcha volume, still a core signal from engagement. Let's see. Do they talk about the volume though? TVL of cards on chains. They don't mention the TVL though. Okay.
There's Django posted just an X that kind of summarizes, I think, this. So maybe I'll
Oh, you got
here.
that pulled up. Nice.
Yeah, 250K buybacks, $250,000 worth of buybacks.
Already deployed or set to deploy?
We did a few days ago. I mentioned here in chat, but it was a one-time to stabilize the price when everything was down bad. Okay, so that's already in. These motherfuckers banned me from Discord for saying need token utility.
They do, Jingo.
Yep. All right. Interesting. I mean, you keep this on, but this is really predicated on, I think this was hot because no one had done it before or had done it in this way. And that's why it became a thing. But for this meta get hot again, I don't know what you would need to do. And that's
I probably don't touch
that's
it.
a lot of chart to make up. Like people are going to be selling into all those levels above you just to, break even and whatnot. So I don't know. Tough.
That's how it goes at those depressed levels. Of buybacks are
Yeah.
simply used as dead cat bounces, exit liquidity. So
yeah.
There's a Loyal I just had up. This is a MetaDAO launch privacy that's been hot. DeFi put out a thread on it. I have not read, but we can read it together. Added a bag of Loyal at 0.25. Thesis, 3 million market cap token that raised 2.5 million with MetaDAO. It's always a good. I mean, you always love to see a pretty fair valued token here.
Zoomer
privacy. Yeah, I can zoom her in for sure. Privacy Meta raised at 0.25 and is currently trading at 0.259. So basically at the raised price. Here are the problems it addresses: closes AI systems like big corporate LLMs, records everything you type. Your data becomes a product, not something you control. These companies can access, sell, or hand over your thoughts. Privacy, autonomy, and verifiable are lost inside corporate black boxes. The solution offered by Loyal is open source, transparent by design, confidential compute, private by architecture, so confidential compute. So it's built-in technology, maybe. On-chain verifiable incentives and payments. All inference and computation run inside trusted execution environments, TEEs, secured hardware and enclaves that encrypt memory and isolate execution. Even the node operators can't see your data or model outputs while you're being processed. Insane. This is trading under 10 million market cap. Not going to lie. Thanks for that write-up. So I'm trying to understand it here. Then it's the solution offered by Loyal is open source, transparent, confidential compute. So confidential compute, I don't know. So what, you can sell compute and it's confidential?
Yeah, we've seen a few of these. I want them to come on and so we can understand it. But yeah, I don't know what the use case is here. Like, what's the business for these types of private LLMs? I know obviously people don't want their data out there and whatnot. I think the only thing I could think of is private companies have it, so when they upload, let's say, proprietary documents, they're not kind of leaked out on the internet. But
yeah, well, that's a number one. I think that's the biggest target.
I think that is, yeah,
market
that must
right
be
there.
it. So it's like the next question is, okay, great. Now, how have you onboarded people to that? It's what's the demand actually for that?
Yeah, is this private installs they have to do for these companies? Money.
Yeah. What's money?
How you're making money? Protocol. Okay, protocol. Let's just read this whole thing. Loyal succeeds when the network stays solvent and billers get paid for aligned agents. To keep the network running, we propose a protocol side fees, all flowing to the Futarki treasury unless token holders vote to move elsewhere. And I'm going to zoom this in. Oh, tough to look at. Protocol fee levers. Inference protocol fee collects at settlement on paid inference throughput. So you can buy inference. Size for upkeep of the core networking and security response. Marketplace registry fee on agents and tool listings transacted through loyal marketplace waived during the initial bootstrap. So they have a marketplace. I'm assuming people are selling inference on this marketplace. The moat here is that they're selling inference that is private, secure, etc. Optional providers bond, and attention. I don't even know that word. Verification fee to underwrite third-party attesters. Self-attested open source agents only covered operational costs. How you're making money. The treasury captures 100% of the protocol fees by default and redeploys them where the community will decide. Operations funding, keep them shared. Inference mesh. There's a word again, and support teams running so builders can stay focused on the product. Bootstrap program, seed capital, and liquidity for new providers or agents that the Futarchy market signal as high leverage. Liquidity management rewards keep. Okay. So yeah, I think we kind of got it. The way they're making money is selling compute, their compute marketplace, and they're selling compute that is secure.
Yeah, if I'm not sounding bullish on this kind of stuff, it's more of my lack of understanding of the actual business around this type of, like, I know what inference is and all this stuff is, but like in terms of like what that market is, what the use cases, why someone would buy this is still a little unclear.
Yeah. Well, it's been getting bid, so maybe we're missing something there, but I agree with Josh on that.
You know what token? So I would like to go through a few and just have like a
we
nice...
do have a meeting. We do have a meeting at some point. Do you know what time that is, Josh? We have a hard stop.
I don't think I know what time that is.
Okay. Well, it's 2:30 now. Let's just say we got to be out of here by 3.
All right.
And I'll just share this, the large caps top 100 on CMC right now. Let's see 7-day gains. Yeah, so look, wow. ZK Sync up 135% on the week. Filecoin 125, Dash 124, Zeke 186, Fat 71. Look at some of these gains. Yeah, not so bad on, I would say, pretty bad week in general, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not all the top 100.
We got to talk about so some that are popping out at me on this one that we were just talking, the infra one that we had on has held up really well. And it's grinded pretty well.
Oh, you're talking about infra, the actual token.
Yeah, that token. We had them on because we're not sure. And I know
when they launched.
Yeah, the gentleman from Foundry, Lewis, was like big on this one. I think he might be a big holder.
I saw, he is.
I
saw their chart the other day, but I was surprised. Yeah, holding up really well.
I thought this was like gonna do the classic Believe thing. This is one of the better looking Believe charts actually out there since launch. Maybe it's because Believe, when they launched, Believe was so dead, the snipers had just basically given up on it.
Right.
Yeah, but this chart looks actually decent.
This is doing something similar. But again,
yeah,
I'm not like,
I would say
the difference here. The difference here, they don't have a DAO governing where all the spending money goes. So like, there's last we checked when we had them on the call, there was no token utility, which was the one drawback. I mean, one of the drawbacks.
Viva, good reaction.
Viva had a great reaction, man. Let's man, PMX is on a big dip. I wonder if someone just sold there. Yeah, Viva had a great reaction, and I mean, as it should, bro. Viva, such a gem. Such a gem. Deserves higher, but yeah, we got this news.
Lows. Yeah,
migration
right through there. Chill has a red box. You bet Chill has a red box.
I'm not sure why I had the perfect box on this. I'll pull up, for the sake of the box, I will pull up my Viva box.
Okay.
But it's not pulling up on here, so I'm gonna have to go to the ZDEX screener. But yeah, those are my zones. Pretty spot on. So happy with that. Nonetheless, oh, here we go. It's loaded on Dex Screener or on MOBY Screener. MOBY does take a little while to load sometimes, but yeah, that zone looking great. Beautiful reaction. Viva goes a lot higher. They're doing big things. They talked about these deals that they signed that are valued at billions of dollars in yearly revenue, which is just insane to think about. No other project on chain is doing billions of dollars in yearly revenue. I mean, that was fair launch like this. So pretty crazy. Let me tab over to PMX because I actually got some messages in a chat about this. It's down 25% on the day. Looks like a whale just full clipped out. Again, could be a buy opportunity.
Yikes.
Let me see. Let's see. What caused that? Oh, I can't go back far enough. Okay, give me a sec. I'm going to look. I'm going to look at what caused this on somewhere else. This happened like 15 minutes ago. Okay. So yeah, 15 minutes ago, we see one wallet clip out about 20K, another wallet clip out 4, another wallet clip out, same wallet clip out another 10. So there's 30K, another 6K, another 8K clips. Yes. So just some big clips here. I'm not sure why. Again, this could be like an opportunity to buy ultimately if you believe in the vision. We might even see at this rate, we might even see a retest down here into this range at that 5 million mark. That's, I don't know, the momentum. If we were trending sideways right here, I'd be more eager to buy, right? If we were sitting down here and doing this for a little bit, I would probably be DCAing actually, like right now. I do have a bag in PMX. I bought PMX, I think was a 1010. Yeah, I bought PMX down here at 1010. It has not been aging well. So that was like one of my early positions. I'll have to even out my average if we continue to dip. But yeah, so with a trade like this, I actually wouldn't be against bidding here at 7.9 million if the market was showing some sort of appetite for it. Come on, MOBY screener. If the market was showing some type of appetite for it, right? But right now there's no consolidation like this. If this would have sat here for another 4 days, 5 days, and just showed some resilience and interest there, a lack of sellers, interested buyers, I probably would be bidding. But right here, I don't know. I think, look, we know Meteor is big on PMX. Alliance DAO is big on PMX. We know Krish is a crack dev. If they can bring it on chain and deliver the vision, I think it surpasses all-time highs and goes crazy. We need to see the platform get ironed out, right? That's
I was gonna say this pump is basically all off of the valuations the other prediction markets were getting versus like actual product volumes and adoptions. Of course, PMX has some of that, but I think like I don't even know where to see the volumes on PMX in terms of like a dashboard and then how many fees they're generating and fees for LPs. And I think there's some automation that's needed here in terms of getting the markets in that people want to trade when they open the product. So I want to be super bullish of this because I love obviously Meteor, and I love the implications to have a prediction market on chain like this and the yes no tokens. But yeah, some things a little unclear in terms of the fundamentals for me. A couple that we've called out: ICM, nice bounce from 8 mil, currently 10. I don't know if you want to quickly pull.
Bought as well over the dip. I think I bought him. Take that.
Yeah, we like this really. I don't know of any upcoming immediate catalysts. I think.
Well, I can name some. Flywheel, right? Some of the projects that they are incubating onto Pump Fund, projects they can't incubate, but they're getting referrals to. They're going to refer to Pump Fund, refer to Believe, refer to Meteor Pools, refer to whoever the hell they decide to launch with. They will be getting fees from each of these people. So there's referral fees, and they have every single major ICM player coming to them. So they will get the best pick of the pick. They get to white glove who they want, and then whoever they don't want, they get fees from. So it's a great thing. They also, I'm sure, are going to have unannounced yet, but we saw CPT launch on SOAR. We know Nick and the SOAR team are very close with ICM. Nick even being a 4%, contributor and holder of the ICM token. So with that being said, I'm sure he's going to try to juice the AUM. I'm sure we're going to see CPT show up in their wallet pretty soon here. So there's like that as a catalyst.
Unconfirmed, but maybe.
I'm like so confident in that. But yeah, guys, I don't know. That's my share.
Until I know when this meeting starts, we got virus. Let's throw up virus because this is reacting really nice. I told everyone about virus 3.5 mil. We are now sitting at 5 mil. Newest game has been announced, which is some jail game with resources. Looks like another multi-token system, so there might be some good Ponzi-nomics / speculative games to be played here. But remember, they have $800,000 in buyback power. Last he announced or said on our stream is that 80K of that was deployed. So there's still, I think, a fair amount of that to deploy. I think this has a good floor under it. This is one of that top on my watch list. The other ones I'd pull up really quick just to run through. Okay, I want to flag a micro cap. It's Shaft, SHAFT. It's called Shaft Foundation. So we like to do clips at MCG, and one of the things we want to do is get dubbing over our clips. And all of a sudden, I saw this X account with less than 100 followers. And it's like this dubbing service, and I'll show you. But this apparently is the token of the incubator. It was really hot when it launched, and it ran from bonding curve to 6 mil. But
7.5.
clearly, no one's covering this right now. But I actually used the service for MCG. Let me see if I can show you guys me using it, and then show you the output. All of a sudden, Tom Curry was speaking Chinese. It was really, really cool. Let's see. Can I find it? Maybe I'll show Tom just speaking because I don't know if it will be in the replies. It might be my personal second.
Yeah,
long
you
story.
do that on personal.
Yeah, I did because I didn't want it showing up on MCG. I didn't want people see me actually using the product because I was trying to stealth it. But I keep an eye on this because I used the product and I really liked it. And we
Now,
got the
note that
XP.
Josh does not speak Chinese, so we actually had no idea how that translation went.
Yeah, we did send it. I did end up sending it to Got to be careful when you're searching Shaft. Jeez.
Yeah, geez Louise, Josh.
Jeez, good thing I'm not screen sharing. Let's see. Okay. Whoa. All right. It's now live on BNB right here. Okay. This is it. I found it. Sorry, guys. I had to dig for this. So I'll show you what their product does. And again, I don't know if this will translate to token value, but and I don't own any right now, but I was thinking about buying like 1%. So here's the video output.
听着，今天是我们发布会的第一天。我知道，我昨天写了很多文档，但没人愿意看。我强烈建议，如果您不了解我们的模型，
So I'll pause it there. I mean, you can clearly see it speaking Mandarin or Chinese. So it did it on a couple of videos, and how you request it is right here. You say dubbing agent, dub in Chinese, and then I don't know. It was like 30 minutes later, it gave me that clip dubbed in Chinese, and we ended up using this clip on MCG China. So don't know, but if other people, this is what I like about this is this kind of like a bit of a growth hacky mechanism because it tags the symbol here, and then people see this reply under large accounts like MCG, and we got 3,000 views on that. So XDub videos is accelerated by Shaft, so might be one just to keep an eye on at 255 if this holds or takes hold.
Okay, there we go. Let's talk. Let's see. And we are pushing 3 hours here, guys. So we want to.
Yeah, we're gonna cap this in a second here.
Let's
Just
talk dupe. Let's talk Fitcoin. Let's talk Orgo. Let's talk Pump, and then call it. Cool. Okay. We'll start with dupe. Dupe is still pushing P, man, doing its thing. Let's see. Chart's looking dandy. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's a strong looking chart. We know that they had a liquid fund take a 5% position in dupe, I believe.
5% starter position.
Starter position, yeah. So people are buying dupe. It's getting a lot of interest. This is a great looking chart. We know Bobby has a flywheel. They're doing some big things on that end. Yeah, love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Next, what else? I said Fitcoin. Yeah, Fitcoin and Orgo.
Bitcoin.
Fitcoin's off a nice pump, dude. You guys should be paying attention to Fitcoin. I'm telling you, Fitcoin. They have been working. They've announced multiple billion-dollar partnerships that are set to come, and I think they just announced recently a whole new social platform that's coming or something like that. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. Either way, Fitcoin, we know every single time it gets to this level, it just rejects. I mean, this is the level from hell, dude. But we're back at that level, and Fitcoin's looking pretty strong. I'd say it's held this range nicely. I think most of the sellers are pretty much out, and it's time for us to reprice higher, hopefully. So I'm excited about Fitcoin. Let me see what Reed posted, because he mentioned something recently which I thought was interesting. So let me see. Fitted. Bear with. Yeah, so he said something new is coming. Fitted social. Again, like that's part of the draw. I do think Fitcoin could go mainstream consumer app. I think it could be a very mainstream consumer crypto app. And I think there's so many verticals from data to marketplace. Like there's just so much you can do with the tokens, so much you can do with fees. Lots there. So, and they have massive backing, some great backers. Yeah. Fitcoin at 4.14 mil. I love. So send me higher, baby. And lastly, let's do Pump. Pump's been catching a nice bid. This is one that's dipping into ICM. I put a thesis out a little while ago just about the different verticals. I think this is a great zone to start accumulating. This is okay. So remember how I was saying PMX is probably not something I'd buy until it starts going sideways for a little bit. This is what I mean by that, right? Pumps come down to an area of interest. Every time it's kind of got into this area here, and that's actually not how I would chart it. I would chart it like this. Every time we've gotten into this area, we dip below. This is like premium levels. We've always rejected off of it. I like how we're consolidating here. There's clearly interest at this level. So I'll take a stab. If it rolls over, wait for it to find interest again, take another stab. That's just how you trade this. Pump, I think, is a pretty easy bet. We know they're doing $1 million in buybacks every day consistently. They're dipping into ICM. Padre's probably going to add $250 million to their balance sheet yearly in profits. And there's also many other verticals, right? I think maybe at some point they adopt, they build, adopt, buy a perps platform. Like I just think the Pump ecosystem is massively expanding. Probably a pretty easy bet here.
Yeah, this is one of my biggest positions, if not my largest. Love Pump. There was something Chill posted. I don't fully understand what he posted, so I'm just trying to see.
On Pump?
Yeah, on Pump. Mayhem mode. I don't understand what this is.
Oh, you're talking about in our chat. He didn't make a post about it, did he?
Okay, no, he didn't, but I'll read it out. Pump Fund is preparing its most significant evolution since launch. The commit reveals 2 major features in development that suggest a fundamental shift in strategy. Mayhem mode likely features based on competitive trading, battle royale mechanics, gamified experience. Oh, I think this is like maybe it says non-traditional bonding curve. I think this is maybe just speculation on what these functionalities could be. But yeah, do you want to share this real quick? Yeah, I mean,
I can share that. I think you kind of just covered it though, but happy to. Yeah, this is the thesis I shared on Pump, right? Same thing I just explained to you. 1 million daily buybacks, estimated $250 million from Padre, major ICM push is imminent. Mayhem mode, I guess, is what it's being coined as. Continued eco expansion, maybe a perp dex on the way, over 10% of supply already offset. Pretty crazy. That's an insane number. In a very short amount of time, they've already offset 10% of supply. Most successful on-chain application of all time, pushing nearly 100% of revenue into buybacks. I wouldn't be sidelined. So that's Pump. That's obviously my zone.
Yeah,
that's my other zone.
I'm gonna add really quick. Look at the trending on the revenue here. It's trending up and to the right. So I like to see that. Now it would be nice to see this kind of really leg up if we see some volatility and maybe a little bit altcoin traction. But I mean, this is pretty good, consistent growth.
That's
even
back.
over
We're basically back where we were at. Go back in the chart. I want to see those dates. 823.25. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, so kind of mid, if you're take the median of the September timing, and like, I mean, pump ran to what, like September timing? I'd have to
Let's
like
see.
tab
September,
over.
it ran up to 8.38 billion,
Yeah,
which is
FDV, right?
100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, FTV. Or yeah, FTV or market cap. I think right now, yeah, FTVs right now is 4.23 billion. Market cap's only like 1 billion something, right? 1.3 billion or something. So yeah, we could see a reprice.
I have to shout out Meteora as well. Chill and I think this was Wednesday, you were off, called the floor here on MET token. So Chill drafted that out 34 cents, and then it's kind of flagged since, and that actually ended up being a really great buy zone. And so you can see that it's reacted nice here. A lot of levers that Meteora can pull that I think really catalyzes this. And the major catalyst here is the December 10th, sorry, Met Dobby, which we'll see you at. So in 30 days, we might get some more catalysts. So good area to kind of see if this is a floor, and I think DCA into. But yeah, I think that's it. Chill. I mean, the only last one, or Chill, sorry, Dom.
Good.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, we
Orgo?
covered Orgo extensively even yesterday. Maybe I'll just,
It came off a nice pump though.
yeah,
And here, guys,
yeah,
just to loop back, I will loop back there in a sec. Just to loop back, I was talking about Fitcoin a second ago. I forgot to even put out this tweet, but I said 177 days I've held Fitcoin, and you'll find out why my conviction hasn't wavered. They have 700,000 users in 1 year. They just got a $500,000 infra investment last week. You can see that right here. They have their competitors have raised over $1 million, right? So you can assume their valuation. If they raised $1 million, they probably put that at a valuation of like, let's say they got 10%, they sold 10%, closer to 100 million, right? They have multiple billion-dollar companies partnered. They have highly valuable consumer data, clothing marketplace, breakout crypto consumer app, and valuable app currency. Few understand. So yeah, that's the Fitcoin thesis. And then Orgo, I mean, we've all talked about it, but most people missed the A16Z thing. And I think people started picking up on that and have since pumped Orgo nicely. 16K people picked up on that one there. So let's check the Orgo chart. And we can keep it brief because we did cover them extensively. But they are off a nice, I mean, dude, that's a nice looking chart. That's a nice looking chart right there. You got the product launch, dies out and just product launch, dies out and just bullish price action. I mean, great ranges here. You can clearly see where buyers stepped in, right? Clearly see where buyers stepped in here. This is 1010. We know how the market's been. So for us to be at these all-time high levels is very impressive. And I can even break this down to a 15-minute as well. And just look how we're holding up here after a major pump. So Orgo is not one to play with. Loving it. Love Spencer.
Yep. Also, Spencer, disclosure, he's a fan of the show, sponsors the show, supports the show. We own some Orgo, both personally and through the show.
That's right, baby.
Love it. I think we're good. I mean, last two comments, any Ubi announcement. All right. A King's Mentality, you're a regular on YouTube. Shout out you. We'll pull up
1.5 mil. Let's go, man. We had Ubi on, I think, at literal Pico bottom here. So this has been a great aged well. It has aged very well. I forgot when we had him. Maybe we had him down here, right? Like 400K. Right in that range. But yeah, Ubi is looking good. They just put out an announcement. What is the announcement? I can pull up their Twitter, but yeah, it's clearly being well received. I know they're working on their RPC. Let's see. Out of body experience. Here we go. Ubi. Grab my booty. Okay. 3 hours ago, Synapse RPC live today. High performance on-chain built for agents and we just had a update call with them recently, guys. So go watch that. After months of testing, optimization, and closed beta feedback from real partners, workloads, Synapse RPC is officially live. This isn't just another endpoint. It's a backbone of the Ubi ecosystem, intelligent routing with sub 5 millisecond latency, adaptive caching and batching for massive throughput, deep SDK integration with Ubi agents and Pay AI X402, optimization infrastructure powering next-gen Solana AI workloads. This wait is over. Welcome to Synapse RPC. Speed, reliability, intelligence. Bow. That's the recent update. It's doing well. Charts representing it pretty well. People seem to be happy with it. It's not a sell the news event, which is good to see. So, yeah, there it is. Thanks
Cool,
for commenting.
guys. Think we will end it there. We covered a lot today, and see you next week. Look out for a schedule update, probably over the weekend.
Yep.
Feels like ICM's getting its footing. I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing in the market. I'm not seeing everything just down only. If majors are down, we're seeing some kind of green shoots of projects going. So that looks to be good.
And then holding well too relative to majors, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin, Solana. We saw 11%, 10% days on Solana ETH, down days on Solana ETH. And
Yeah.
I'd say on chain held up, at least ICM held up pretty well.
Pretty
Some
well.
didn't even move, some didn't even drop 5%, let alone
No, I know.
you know
Like
what Solana ETH did.
ICM is up since, Orgo is up since, Viva is
Dupe
up
is
since,
up since, Viva's up
Dupe
since,
is up,
Pump's
like
up since,
Pump's up since, so
Bitcoin's up since, Orgo's up since. It's list goes on.
not bad. All right, guys. See you on the next one.
Peace.